So, Assalamualaikum,
Oh,
salam
it's live
sejahtera.
streamed. Okay.
Okay, got it. Yeah, it's live stream already. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, salam Ibu Pertiwiku, Yang Mulia Cik Puan Sarimah Ibrahim, Celebrity Mental Health Advocate and Patron of MIASA, Mental Illness Awareness and Support Association. Yang bahagia Dato' Dr. Medilin Burma, Pesuruhjaya Sohakam Sarawak, Dr. Rosliwati Muhammad Yusof, Pengarah Hospital Kosa Kuching, Psychiatric, Cik Laura Ko Suisan, Mind Brew, Mental Health Association Sarawak, Encik Kian Tunku, Pengurusi Pertubuhan Orang Cacat Sarawak, Datuk-datuk, tuan-puan yang saya hormati dan juga tidak dilupakan Ketua-Ketua Jabatan Kerajaan Negeri dan Persekutuan, Pertubuhan Bukan Kerajaan dan jemputan yang dikasihi semua. Terlebih dahulu, saya ingin memohon maaf atas kesilapan ataupun berlaku teknikal pada pagi ini yang di mana ramai peserta yang tidak dapat mengikuti secara live dalam Zoom, tetapi kita telah membuat satu link ke YouTube live streaming untuk membolehkan semua menonton program pagi ini secara langsung. Dan juga bagi pihak Sohakam, saya ingin merakamkan penghargaan serta terima kasih atas kesediaan yang terutama Yang Mulia Cik Puan Sarimah dan para penceramah serta para hadirin kerana sudi meluangkan masa untuk menghadiri program kita pada pagi ini, iaitu cabaran pandemik COVID-19, kesihatan mental dan hak asasi. Sebelum program kita pagi ini, saya akan menerangkan secara ringkas agenda yang akan berlangsung pada pagi ini, di mana pada pagi ini kita akan mulakan program kita dengan video music daripada Yang Mulia Cik Puan sendiri dan Damien Mikhael, dan juga diikuti oleh ucap tama dan seterusnya merasmikan program kita pada pagi ini, dan juga sesi pembentangan 3 penceramah yang dijemput khas, dan juga kita akan berkongsi pengalaman salah seorang mangsa kes keganasan rumah tangga semasa pandemik, dan diikuti dengan sesi pembincangan, dan seterusnya kita akan tamat program pada pagi ini pada jam 1 petang. Dan sebagai pembukaan tirai program kita pada pagi ini, kita akan mulakan dengan music video yang bertajuk Harapan, nyanyian Yang Mulia Cik Puan sendiri bersama Damien Mikhael, dan juga adalah kredit ataupun ucapan bahagian Awas dan Yayasan Zuriat K. Saya mohon untuk share screen.
Terdetik di dalam hati, adakah ini yang perlu dilalui? Saban hari bertemankan kegagalan tergelincir, walau terbentang luasnya landasan, andai jatuh tersungkur, kita bangkit bersama walau luka, walaupun perih
Terima kasih semua. Jadi sebelum kita meneruskan ke atau cara kita yang seterusnya, saya mohon para peserta penjemputan untuk membuka kamera untuk sesi fotografi. Okay. Vivian, are you ready? One, two, three. Okay, one, two, three. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Dan berikut adalah saat yang kita tunggu. Saya sendiri teruja, iaitu seorang wanita yang bergelar selebriti, artis, yang berbakat besar dan juga seorang yang educated untuk menyampaikan ucap tama dan seterusnya merasmi program kita pada pagi ini. Beliau yang saya maksudkan adalah Yang Mulia Cik Puan Sarimah Ibrahim, atau lebih kenali di kalangan kita sebagai Kak Mah. Sebelum itu, saya ingin memaklumkan bahawa Yang Mulia Cik Puan akan meninggalkan majlis kita pada jam 11.30 pada pagi ini, dan sahaja selepas selesai ucap tama perasmian program pada pagi ini, atas permintaan Yang Mulia Cik Puan juga akan membuka sesi soal jawab selama 5 minit untuk memberi ruang kepada jemputan untuk mengajukan soalan-soalan kepada Yang Mulia Cik Puan. Dengan ini majlis mempersilakan Yang Mulia Cik Puan.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me clearly?
Salam. Yes.
Yay. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wow. Okay. What an interesting morning, yeah. Good morning, everyone. Terima kasih kepada saudara pengacara Majlis Sufian. I'm sure you're having a lot of stress for your mental health right now. But we have to be. You know, I mean, life is like that, okay? So let me just get the formalities out of the way first for everyone. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Dr. Madeline Burma, Pesuruhjaya Suhakam Sarawak. Sofian bin Osman, Ketua Cawangan Suhakam Sarawak. Penceramah-penceramah jemputan, ketua-ketua jabatan serta pegawai kerajaan dan bukan kerajaan, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya hormati sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Selamat pagi, pagi yang indah dengan cabaran-cabaran. That is life. Good morning to everyone. I hope you don't mind me speaking in both Bahasa today and also English so that everybody can take something away from what my keynote has to offer today, insyaAllah. So first and foremost, Alhamdulillah, bersyukur kita semua kehadrat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana dengan limpah dan inayahnya dapat kita bersama-sama berkumpul pada hari ini sempena penganjuran program cabaran pandemik COVID-19, kesihatan mental dan hak asasi, anjuran Suruhanjaya Hak Asasi Manusia Malaysia Pejabat Sarawak. Saya ingin mengucapkan tahniah dan syabas bagi penganjuran seminar hari ini. Sesungguhnya penganjuran seminar ini merupakan satu usaha yang murni. It is a wonderful thing bagi membantu mana-mana individu atau ahli keluarga dan juga of course termasuk masyarakat kita sekeliling dalam menyedarkan dan menangani isu kesihatan mental yang sedang berlaku dalam situasi pandemik COVID-19 ini. Pelbagai pihak termasuk pihak kerajaan dan pertubuhan bukan kerajaan, NGO telah bangkit dalam usaha menangani isu kesihatan mental termasuk mengekang wabak ini terus menular di negara kita Malaysia. It seems like a blessing in disguise, I would say though, happened alongside the pandemic as more people have come to realize the state of their own mental health and the importance of seeking help. However, we still have a long way to go. but it's always baby steps that matter first. Sejak Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan dikenakan ke atas seluruh rakyat Malaysia pada 18 Mac 2020 bagi mengawal pandemik COVID-19, tidak dapat dinafikan hal ini telah memberikan beban psikologi, emosi kepada ramai rakyat Malaysia. Malah polisi yang berubah-ubah turut dilihat menambahkan lagi rencah beban psikologi PKP kepada rakyat kita. It is a known fact that a loss of control is one of the major stressors in life for a human being, and it can impact a person's mental health negatively. And boy, haven't we all felt that loss of control in the last 2 years. Our lives have been turned upside down for sure. Dalam kajian yang telah dilakukan oleh Universiti Malaya bagi menjalankan kajian impak PKP terhadap mental rakyat Malaysia dilakukan dari 12 hari bulan Mei 2020 hingga 5 September 2020 mendapati bahawa seramai 59.2% responden didapati mengalami kemurungan, depression, keresahan yang tidak berpenghujung, it is a severe anxiety, sebanyak 55% responden dan 30% mengalami tekanan perasaan. Oh dear. Kajian tersebut dijalankan dengan menggunakan DASS-21, which is the Depression and Anxiety Stress Scale. Dari segi demografik, responden yang sangat terkesan sekali dari segi mental adalah dari kalangan wanita dan golongan miskin. It's not really a surprise to all of us because often the repressed and suppressed, or both, have the most feelings of helplessness and the least access, unfortunately, to resources. Tuan-tuan puan-puan sekalian, untuk negeri Sarawak pula, it's very interesting for me to also learn about isu kesan pandemik terhadap kesihatan mental juga tidak kurang hebat ya. Golongan-golongan rentan seperti orang asal yang tinggal jauh di kawasan pedalaman, mereka yang mengalami masalah taraf kewarganegaraan, ibu tunggal, golongan miskin yang menempati kawasan setinggan, mereka yang merupakan antara golongan yang sangat terkesan sewaktu pandemik. It is also not surprising there. Hal ini kerana disebabkan oleh pandemik, maka kerajaan Malaysia telah menggunakan PKP dan disebabkan itu, golongan-golongan ini tidak mampu untuk menjalani kehidupan harian dengan mudah. Sumber rezeki juga turut terjejas. As we all know, it's been a huge struggle. Ternyata hal ini telah memberikan kesan dari segi psikologikal kepada golongan-golongan ini. Antara cabaran-cabaran yang dihadapi semasa pandemik ini, pemberhentian kerja oleh pihak majikan, tidak dapat keluar untuk berniaga, saiz dan keluasan rumah yang sempit for many dan sebagainya, dan secara tidak langsung ia telah menimbulkan rasa kemurungan pada golongan tersebut. Berdasarkan isu-isu dan cabaran yang perlu dihadapi, maka kita sebagai sebuah entiti kerajaan dan bukan kerajaan boleh memainkan peranan dalam membantu dan memupuk kesedaran kepada masyarakat dalam langkah-langkah pencegahan awal untuk membendung kesihatan mental, masalah kesihatan mental, termasuklah penjagaan yang bersesuaian dan cepat. Tuan-tuan puan-puan sekalian, this leads me to a point here to mention something quite personal, and that is that no one is exempt from mental health challenges. No gender, no status, and no so-called lifestyle that either you're living or that you portray on social media makes anyone immune to having had trauma in their life, having adversities in their life, or having any of the biopsychosocial, spiritual risk factors that are very important to keep a person healthy and stable. And if any of these get thrown out of place or are not balanced, this can lead to depression, anxiety, and sometimes suicide. I studied psychology in university from the age of 18 with the hopes of becoming a clinical psychologist, not becoming a celebrity. However, I must say that the studies helped me an awful lot in my journey because all the years, 25 years of being in my career as a performer, I continued my studies. And luckily for me, I would say I continued to seek therapy for a psychoeducational purpose, but also to manage the situation that I found myself in, mencari rezeki tetapi menjadi seorang public figure bukan satu perkara yang senang. So I knew through my studies that I needed to take care of myself. And luckily I did, because I myself have experienced postnatal depression, kemurungan selepas bersalin. This happened in 2019. I've been quite open about sharing this experience, but I also, a lot of people don't know, I would say suffered from, but I would also say it was also a blessing, because every suffering is also a blessing, isn't it? Because it teaches you something or gives you a coping skill that makes you superhuman in some ways. I had anxiety for 23 years. Walaupun nampak ceria and menghiburkan orang ramai, sentiasa gembira kan. Of course, I was happy in those moments. But of course, behind the scenes, just like all of you who are here today and most people, there's always different things happening behind the scenes in our lives. For example, just to give you a little insight, so that people don't think I'm just speaking from a privileged position, which is what is often perceived, but that I have also been there. I've been in the deep, dark pits of the mental and emotional difficulties that a lot of people who've gone through even worse than I have gone through. I can share that saya, for example, kerap dibuli sewaktu membesar, dipukul di sekolah. I was beaten in so many situations for not being white enough, for not being Asian enough, for being a different religion, because I traveled around the world with my father who worked in the airlines, and I kept a lot of these experiences inside. Kita memendam, bukan memendam, tapi kita perasaan tu terpendam lah, orang kata. Dan kerana itu saya mengalami tekanan jiwa yang teramat, dan my coping mechanism to deal with this was actually to menghiburkan orang. Itu merupakan coping skills bagi ramai penghibur, ya. Saya juga pernah kehilangan orang tersayang akibat suicide, dan saya pernah juga sebagai seorang selebriti di tempat kerja menerima ugutannya tidak mendapat kontrak sekiranya saya tidak holiday bersama producer, tak pergi dinner dengan producer. Dan alhamdulillah, saya dengan pembesaran saya, ibu bapa saya agak strict, ya. Saya sentiasa memilih jalan yang sebaliknya kerana maruah, takut ayah marah. It always follows most of us who were raised in an Asian household, kan? Don't do anything wrong, make sure that you stay on the right path. Alhamdulillah. Tapi tidak ada sesiapa di antara kita hari ini yang tidak pernah mengalami kesusahan dan keperitan, dan pastinya budaya penuh stigma kita ini tidak menggalakkan kita berkongsi kisah. Sebelum adanya pandemik ini, terutama sekali sebelum adanya pandemik ini, betul kata-kata hikmah pastinya ada di sebalik setiap kesusahan. So saya mengatasi dan keluar dari the grip of kemurungan dan anxiety dengan usaha dan doa. Usaha rawatan 3 kali seminggu berturut-turut selama 6 bulan bersama psikiatris saya. Saya mengambil ubat selama 6 bulan, dan juga peer support dan sokongan dari suami dan keluarga dan kawan-kawan yang rapat, ya. Sometimes the friends that you have growing up are no longer your friends because either they grow or you grow, or you both have different paths, but that doesn't matter. What matters is you have even 1 or 2 close friends, I always say, and they can get you through and give that support that's needed. Alhamdulillah, hari ini saya lebih kuat dan saya lebih sedar. And because of that experience, I am more present for myself and my family and clearer in my life direction, which is to be an edutainer, not just an entertainer. So this time I hope to combine my education, my experience with a little bit of entertainment. You're not going to lose me completely as a performer I was. So I hope that helps a lot of people feel a bit better. I feel like I'm more present for myself and my family, and it did take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's been worth it, alhamdulillah. I just would like to touch a little bit as we come to the closing of my keynote address. Sekiranya isu masalah mental ni tidak dibendung, ya, dengan awal, dengan rawatan yang seharusnya, maka ianya akan menyumbangkan pada risiko gejala bunuh diri. Sebenarnya bunuh diri, suicide, is a symptom of deep pain, a symptom of depression, a symptom of severe anxiety, a symptom of trauma that's been kept too long without being addressed. It's not like somebody wakes up and just decides the next day that they're going to take their lives. And I have loved ones and friends who have done that, but they didn't wake up. It was a gradual process. Cuma mereka tidak dapat rawatan yang seharusnya dengan cukup, orang kata, teliti dan cepat. That's the problem. Kita menyedari isu yang dipaparkan dalam media, masa seringkali melaporkan kes bunuh diri di kalangan masyarakat kita, tetapi kadang-kadang ada unsur sensationalism yang agak, how do I say, tidak membantu ya. Mungkin akan lebih menyebabkan mereka-mereka yang rentan. Actually, copycat syndrome is quite a common thing. So please, I would just like to add, do not share any videos or photos of suicide if you are on the receiving end. Mengambil pilihan sebegini, iaitu suicide, merupakan gejala kemurungan dan anxiety yang paling membahayakan dan yang paling menyedihkan. Apabila seorang individu merasakan dirinya mengalami masalah kemurungan ataupun tekanan hidup dan sukar untuk menyelesaikan sesuatu masalah, maka gejala-gejala seperti intrusive thoughts, a loss of control feeling, rasa macam roller coaster ride, akan menjadikan individu itu lebih rentan membuat sesuatu yang berisiko pada dirinya ataupun mereka yang rapat dan dekat dengannya. Okey, so negara kita, Malaysia, mempunyai penduduk yang terdiri dari berbilang kaum dan agama serta mempunyai pelbagai budaya, agama Islam, Buddha, Hindu, Kristian, semuanya tidak membenarkan sama sekali perbuatan bunuh diri di kalangan penganutnya. But we are not here to guilt and we are not here to judge, because that is one of the stigmas. And Alhamdulillah, recently we have heard the good news that suicide will be decriminalized. The penal code 309, Alhamdulillah, is now being very much considered, and it is time that it is abolished. But of course, a lot more work still needs to be done, because even if you abolish the penal code, where do those who are going through mental health problems go for the first step to get that help if they don't have the financial support to assist them? Saya percaya negara yang maju adalah negara di mana kesihatan mental rakyat diberikan keutamaan, bukan sahaja maju dari segi ekonomi dan financial dan status. I always say, apa gunanya duit dan status sekiranya rakyat menderita, keganasan rumah tangga meningkat, penderitaan kanak-kanak, penyalahgunaan dadah meningkat, because money cannot buy you health and happiness. There is a domino effect here. One abused child can lead to a future of abused drugs, which could then lead to beaten spouses and maybe even murdered children. And we've seen this happen. So this is the domino effect of mental illness being unresolved through transgenerations. And I have been witness to this myself. A stable mind, a calm mind, leads to less suffering in society and more empathy, where its people can depend on each other and thrive and progress. The thing is, through the pandemic, and although it opened the gates for people globally to talk about mental health, in Malaysia specifically, the level of awareness, acceptance, and readiness to speak up continue to be a challenge. Cultural habits and the old school ways, they don't die off easily. Lastly, digital technology. It continues to evolve and improve. More people are connected, but sadly, more people often do feel disconnected due to issues such as unrealistic expectations based on what is seen and shown on social media, his perfect life, her perfect life, etc., which is often not true. There's also the issue of cyberbullying that we need to address. An awful lot of keyboard warriors behind the keyboards throwing out their depression and anxiety symptoms to others. Ekonomi negara hanya boleh pulih sepenuhnya dan maju, saya percaya, sekiranya mentaliti dan emosi rakyatnya sehat dan adanya perasaan harapan untuk maju ke hadapan walaupun pelbagai rintangan. Tanpa harapan itu tidak ada pendorong untuk kekal berjuang. Soalannya adalah adakah kesihatan mental rakyat dilihat sebagai cukup penting dalam pembangunan negara kita? Dengan adanya penceramah-penceramah jemputan hari ini yang mempunyai kepakaran dalam isu-isu ini, I'm not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist. I am just a person who happens to be well known, has lived experience of this, has seen family and friends go through this, and a person who's always had a passion to help others in the best way and within my own capacity. Saya berharap kita semua dapat mempelajari dan dapat manfaat supaya isu kesihatan mental dapat dibendung dan ditangani dengan cara yang lebih bersistematik dan berkesan. Akhir kata, saya dengan ini merasmikan program Cabaran Pandemik COVID-19, Kesihatan Mental dan Hak Asasi pada pagi ini. Selamat berdiskusi. Enjoy the discussion. Sekian. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Yang Mulia Cik Puan. Kalau kita lihat dalam chat box, ada soalan daripada Cik Anwar Manap. Terima kasih Yang Mulia Cik Puan Sarimah. Bolehkah saya ingin dapatkan info bagaimana Cik Puan melihat rakan baik adalah penting untuk share masalah kesihatan, gangguan yang dihadapi, dan apa nasihat Cik Puan untuk kita sebagai rakan kita untuk bantu?
Okay, terima kasih ya. Thank you for that question. Selalunya kalau kawan kita ataupun ahli keluarga kita dekat dengan kita, gejala-gejala, simptom tu kita boleh nampak sebenarnya. You know what I mean? Kita boleh rasa ada sesuatu yang mungkin terpendam atau sesuatu yang not to say aneh tentang kawan kita ataupun ahli keluarga kita. Cuma soalannya selalu, macam mana kita nak dekat dengan dia? How do we approach the person without them becoming defensive? And that's the biggest challenge, even for myself. When I was going through my postnatal depression, agak susah bagi saya sendiri mengaku pada diri saya sendiri bahawa ada sesuatu ni yang saya kena cepat ke doktor sebenarnya. Cuma saya tangguhkan benda tu selama 2 bulan with the hope that saya boleh buat sendiri ni. Ini sekejap je. Orang kata dia lepas giving birth biasa je benda ni. After that I'll be fine. Tapi lama kelamaan saya boleh rasa saya makin lama makin tenggelam dalam intrusive thought saya. And that's when I knew I needed help. The things yang kita boleh sampaikan pada mereka yang meminta bantuan ataupun berkongsi pengalaman ataupun perasaan huru-hara, takut dan sebagainya, we need to be there for them and say things like, thank you for telling me. I'm here for you now. I may not be able to help you, but I'm here for you now. You can trust me to listen. Jangan sekali-sekala kita jawab dengan perkara-perkara seperti alang kau okey je nanti, it will pass. Perkara-perkara macam tu, statement macam tu mungkin akan menyebabkan individu tu rasa kecil dan seolah kita meremeh-temehkan masalah dia ataupun perasaan dia. So we need to be very careful with the words that we use. Lebih baik sekiranya kita bertanya soalan seperti, can you tell me more? What else? What has happened? Dengan informasi yang lebih, kita sendiri dapat take note apa sebenarnya yang berlaku. Dari situ kita boleh take the next steps. Sama ada kita rasa di dalam satu crisis situation di mana kita have to quickly call somebody, a professional, and the first step you can go to is your GP. GPs are actually the best place to go for the first step, and that's where I went. Even though I know psychiatrists and psychologists, tengah malam saya rasa saya dah tak boleh tahan lagi perasaan menggeletar, menggigil dan rasa, how do you say it, loss of control, macam that's it, my life is out of control. I went straight to the GP and the GP said to me, Sarima, Alhamdulillah that you came because I have seen other mothers and fathers yang masuk klinik saya tengah malam with a very unfortunate situation, because they did not come earlier. So thank you for coming early. And I said, what did you see, doctor? He said, children that have been hurt, wives that have been beaten, self-harm. So at least you come here now before that happens. So I pun macam, Ya Allah, Alhamdulillah lah. And that is the thing about our society that we need to change. The judgment against ourselves is worse than the judgment against others. Whenever we feel shame, I can't tell anyone. That's the first response. And that is the stigma we put on ourselves before we even put on others, actually. So people talk about kena buang stigma. Tapi kan, I always ask the question, adakah kita buang stigma yang kita ada terhadap diri kita sendiri? Because kita yang menilai diri kita sebelum kita menilai orang lain. So I always say, give the empathy and compassion that you wish to get from somebody else to another person. That would be my response.
Terima kasih Yang Mulia Cik Puan. Can I say the mental health is one of the silent killer? Kalau melihat insiden-insiden yang berlaku pada masa sekarang di banyakkan menjurus pada ambil jalan pintas iaitu membunuh diri. So can we say it's one of the silent killer, Cik Puan? I mean,
well, it is a silent and slow killer. That's the thing. It's a slow killer. We don't realize the effects of it until it's become severe. That's the issue here. How do we catch it before it becomes an actual killer or fatal? The steps are there. I mean, the situations are there. Unfortunately, kita kena tengok balik kepada sejarah hidup, childhood. And then we've got to look at the transgenerational patterns. And we're not here to blame anyone. Our parents did the best they could with the knowledge they had and what was passed to them, and so on and so on and so on. The situation is now today in 2021, what can we do to better serve our children and society moving forward? So it is a silent killer, but the more dangerous aspect of it, I believe, is it's slow and it's subtle. Because I selalu kata, tak ada sesiapa yang bangun, tiba-tiba dari dia hidup dia okey je, esok nak merogol orang. Esok nak bunuh orang. It doesn't happen that way. There are things that happen to people gradually that create the symptoms of violence, aggression. And we are too quick as a society to judge and throw them in jail. But if we don't look at the root cause of the pain, how are we going to prevent the addictions from continuing and the crime? Because the root cause is not there. If you look, there was a study that was carried out in the US, and they went into the prisons, the inmates of like, we're talking serious murder, homicide, rapists. And, it was called the circle. I believe it was called the circle experiment, where they had all of the killers and rapists step into a circle as each description of their life was read out. And you could see that the history of their lives, the commonality, the common factor for all of the worst murderers and worst rapists was always childhood adversity and a loss of themselves through their lives. So what are we doing to children that is creating this loss of self and empathy that causes the violence and the rape and the drug addiction? So it's not just biological and genetics. We need to look at the social environment aspect, which I believe is the biggest impact, if you ask me.
Terima kasih Yang Mulia Cik Puan. I think saya sendiri teruja nak tahu lebih lanjut mengenai isu masalah mental, kesihatan mental. Mungkin kita adakan satu special session review yang Cik Puan pada masa hadapan.
It's very interesting. Ya, betul, Sufian. Panjang cerita dia kan.
Panjang cerita. So okay, mungkin kita nak lebih lanjut mengenai isu kesihatan mental ni. Mungkin kita boleh bertanya lebih soalan kepada penceramah yang akan dijemput nanti. Seterusnya, thank you Yang Mulia Cik Puan. Thank you very much for your experience, everything you share, all the experience, then what is mental health, the issue yang sebenarnya. Dan seterusnya majlis diteruskan dengan sesi pembentangan yang akan dipengerusikan ataupun dikelolakan oleh Yang Bahagia Datuk Dr. Madeline Burma bersama-sama penceramah jemputan yang terdiri daripada para pakar ataupun expert dalam bidang masing-masing, iaitu Dr. Rosliwati, Cik Laura dan juga Encik Kian. Dan selepas pembentangan kita akan mengikuti sesi berkongsi pengalaman daripada salah seorang mangsa keganasan rumah tangga semasa pandemik COVID-19. Dan majlis mempersilakan Yang Bahagia Datuk Dr. Madeline.
Okay, thank you very much, Sofian. First of all, thank you very much, Cik Puan Sarimah Ibrahim, for accepting our invitation to officiate and share your experience. Pagi-pagi dah WhatsApp dia. Please share from your heart, and that's basically what you are. Thank you so much, Cik Puan. I know you have to leave by 11, but there's maybe one question that I would like to pose to you sebelum you leave. because I was very attracted to the video that you have just now. So just let me go through the formalities first. Yes, kejap je.
Yes,
Okay,
no
so
problem.
terima kasih. I can see Dr. Rosila daripada, let me just read this ya. Penceramah kita yang pertama, Dr. Rosilawati Mat Yusof, Pengarah Hospital Sentosa. Really, Hospital Sentosa is a place, kalau kami dekat Sarawak ni, Cik Puan Sarimah, kita panggil dia equivalent tu macam di Semenanjung lah, kita ada Tanjung Rambutan. Betul tak Dr. Rosilawati? Kalau so di Sarawak sedap, nama dia very nice. We don't have a rambutan, but we call it Sentosa.
Bagus. Alhamdulillah tak ada rambutan di situ.
To give it a better name, so we will hear from her. And I know during COVID pandemic, COVID-19, I think there's a lot of challenges that the hospital is facing, of course, in terms of facilities and dealing with issues. So I really hope that she can share with us later. Thank you, Dr. Rosila. Then penceramah kita nombor 2, I can see her, Cik Laura Ko Sui San. Where are you? I can see you there, smiling away and listening to Cik Puan Sarimah. As always, people will be transfixed to their video. Okay, so I can see her there just now. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And our last but not least, Cik Kian, just I had an opportunity. Thank you, Cik Kian. He will be sharing his experience. Dia daripada Pertubuhan Orang Cacat Sarawak. We still use the word orang cacat. I find that a bit, macam mana nak sebut Betul Memang betul
Memang betul, because apabila kita menubuhkan pertubuhan ini.
Oh, dia sebab nama pertubuhan dulu
Pertubuhan dulu. Pada tahun 1992 belum wujud lagi perkataan OKU tu, orang kurang upaya, masih menggunakan perkataan cacat, so kita kekalkanlah.
Okay, no problem. Kita will go into the law. Okay, so thank you very much to our speakers. And now I would like to welcome my former commissioner, Francis. I can see you there. Thank you so much. Oh, now I can see our new Datuk, fresh minted, Datuk Dr. Rashidah. Thank you for joining us, Kementerian. I mean, she's really the person that we need here. And as usual, she's terus tahu. Yes, Dr. Mac, I will join. And in fact, sebenarnya I twisted her arm a bit. Minta tolong send a few of your staff. Dia kata bukan send. I am going to attend myself. As usual, Dato', thank you so much. And I can say that Kian is from the library. I'm so glad. Then I said, I told him, I think your former boss is here. She said, yeah, she was my former boss. So thank you, Dr. Rashidah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Rashidah.
for inviting. Thank you.
So we were very fortunate because tadi Cik Puan Sarimah, not easy to get her. Dia ni memang selebriti yang sangat-sangat sibuk. But I dah book dia awal-awal mengalahkan bajet 2022 ni punya ni. So thank you so much. Okay, Cik Puan, there's one question I would like to ask you. You are tadi I saw your video.
Yes.
I remember you shared that to me immediately. Fresh minted also. It was out of the oven and it's, oh my God. And I was just sitting there. Black. It was all black and white. Why no colors? Satu.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. What is it about this song? Why is it so special that you think that you should share with us in the session today? Is it just another video, or Sarimah is coming back, being a celebrity? If you can highlight that. So when we go to the human rights issue, if you can highlight on that. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Doc. I always call you Doc. Is that okay?
No, that isn't.
Dia sebenarnya video ni, I don't see it as just a video. It was shot. We did it ikhlas. This is a song from our heart, and it was written by Damien Mikhail, who's also gone through his own mental health challenges. Dan dia merupakan seorang songwriter, banyak anugerah dia. Dia kerja dengan Datuk Siti Nurhaliza, Too Fat, dan ramai artis-artis yang tersohor. But I've worked with him before, dan dia seorang manusia yang ikhlas, yang jujur, dan saya when I wanted to create karya lagu, semua kata buatlah lagu, dah lama tak dengar, asyik dengar Kini Kau Tiada aja. I said, okay. So, tapi kan, I'm 43 now, and I'm still me, but we grow as human beings, you know what I mean? So I've seen a lot in the last 20 years since Kini Kau Tiada. And I've experienced a lot. And I thought, let's do a song that talks about hope, because I've seen too much pain and hopelessness in the last 2 years, dengan people losing their lives, losing their jobs, losing their family, losing hope. So myself and Damien, we sat down, and when Awas Awareness Against Suicide NGO approached me to be part of this Stand for Hope campaign, I said, yes, let me help whatever I can do. Okay. So we recorded this song I recorded it from my room, and I sent it to Damien, and we did it long distance, and we did the video long distance, and everything you see there is done by each individual person who's been through a mental health challenge. And we wanted to share it. And what we're getting back now is, it's not going to the charts, it's not going viral, but it's going to people's hearts. So ada antara lagu yang mungkin dia tak boom dekat TV, dia tak boom dekat radio, tapi dia dalam diam-diam orang menangis kat rumah bila dengar, sebab dia orang boleh resonate dan boleh relate. And that was the objective of this song, for me and Damien, and for us to share with people. You're not alone. We understand there's stories. Everybody has a story. If you watch the video clip, there's a background story to everybody's pain. So, and that is what we don't know about. So selalunya kat depan screen, kita semua nampak perfect, bahagia. Di kerja nampak perfect, bahagia. And as human beings, we have the right to be acknowledged for the full person that we are. Abled, disabled, mentally disabled, physically disabled, emotionally disabled, you are still a full human being. And I believe that nobody has the right to undermine any disability that a human being has. We often focus on the human rights of those that are obviously being marginalized, but we forget about the people who are being marginalized and discriminated against, that look fine. For example, high achieving people who have emotional and mental disabilities, they look fine to us, but are they really fine? Until, again, like you mentioned, until the point of no return happens. And I think that human rights, the right to be able to speak up about what we're going through emotionally and mentally, is something that we need to catch up on. And this video was our way of saying there's hope, and you have the right to feel sad and to feel down. It's part of being a human being. It's part of the journey. We don't always have to look happy all the time, because I think that is not serving us as human beings, this need to look perfect that we depict, and through social media. It's quite an unfortunate, it's a wonderful thing to have this connection with the world, and it's also a very dangerous, difficult thing because of the effects on our mental health and our perceptions.
Awesome. One last point before I know you have to leave now. No, I mean, you told me that you have to leave immediately. Can okay?
Sorry, I have another talk.
Okay, just one point. What is it? We're going to come up with. We're talking about government policies and blah blah blah. If there is one thing that you think that the government should have done or should do, is there anything that you can recommend here?
A huge, massive campaign. A huge campaign. A campaign that reaches everyone, not just orang bandar je. A campaign that is not too direct in your face, but a campaign that depicts people being imperfectly perfect. A campaign that is inclusive. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereby, we could, I want to do this, but I need the support of the government, and it's very difficult to sometimes reach the right people. We're talking a massive nationwide awareness campaign like they've done in Australia and whatnot, with addiction problems, and in the US, etc., where we touch people and we tell the people and the elders that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be down and depressed, but there is hope and there is help. Where do you seek the help? And we need more funding and volunteers, so that it needs to be an all-inclusive campaign. I foresee a TV advertisements, I see songs, I see a big coming together, a big concert. I mean, if the whole nation can come together for Anugerah Juara Lagu and the Commonwealth Games and, for Hari Kemerdekaan, why can't we come together for a huge celebration of mental health? I see that it can be done, and it's so crucial for the productivity of the country. We are losing people's talents and people's productivity because they can't cope with their mental and emotional disabilities. So I think that dengan adanya satu campaign yang besar yang boleh sampai message dia sampai ke kampung, sampai ke dalaman, di mana kita mesra dengan topik masalah kesihatan mental. Sebab right now the perception is dia ni dah gila lah, meroyan, tak betul, tak waras, pergi jumpa bomoh, pergi buat ni, buat tu. And then you see the effects after that, the deaths and the abuse and the children being hit. So we need to do something more. So that's what I would like to see happen. But it's not easy. It's going to be a big journey. But it needs to be something that the Ministry of Health and Education see as essential. So that's what I would like to see.
Sarima, you're very fortunate. You know what? We have Dr. Rashida here. Really, really, I can see her nodding her head, and knowing her, she's really fast in doing things. I don't know what it's.
I see. Okay.
We call it in Sarawak, we call it SUT, and in Semenanjung, KSU, the ketua.
Okay.
In Sarawak, we call our in Semenanjung, they call it just, and kami di sini panggil menteri.
Okay, faham.
Okay,
hello,
so
Dr.
I really hope
Rashida.
that if there is anything, Dr. Rashida may, and I'm sure she coming from New Zealand, Dr. Rashida, if there is anything, Dr. Rashida, the fact that you are here, daripada kementerian, if you don't mind, before we start our discussion, is there anything that you want to share, or you want to, whatever that you need to say something? I know you're very, very, very busy. Thank you, Dr. Rash. Sebelum kita mula dengan the three speakers, thank you.
I didn't expect to talk here, Prof.
No, it's okay. Knowing Madeline, she will just pluck something from thin air.
Yeah,
after stress study because of the 100 participants. Okay, continue that.
Okay, I must apologize. I didn't come in time to listen to your talk, and I'm sure it is very inspiring and very, Chun, because this is what we are facing at the moment, and this is, I think, this issue has been in our community for a long, long time, but it's just that we don't want to talk about it. And then coming as Prof was saying that, sorry, Prof, I say call you Prof again.
No, in fact, I insisted to be called for everybody is a Dato in a meeting. You don't know who's referring to who. So it's okay. And I call you Dato also now. No problem. Continue.
So
yes,
having come from New Zealand, and I was very fortunate to be able to have a sojourn there. I lived there when I was doing my studies. And New Zealand, out of the OECD countries, is the top per capita of suicidal cases. Yeah. And they make it a very, very a prominent issue. They make a lot of campaigns. They make a lot of awareness. And so happens, me always talking to the people on the street, I met with one journalist whose son committed suicide, and she wrote a book about it. And she's a survivor. She called herself a suicide survivor, not because she committed suicide, but she went through the trauma and the aftermath of what happened. So she had a book, and she has given us the e-copy, and I must go back to her again and ask us. And then, and especially with the pandemic, it's just a lot of cases. Just people do not want to come forward, and just macam Cik Puan kata tadi, takut label dan meroyan ke, the word meroyan actually is something which is very, very sensitive to people. So it is very a very good time that we are discussing this. Thank you so much, Prof, for initiating this, so that we bring to the people that it is okay to discuss about this. It's okay for us to find strategies for us to help. There are people,
Exactly.
I mean, I know in the workplace, I am already seeing it. Already I see that some of my colleagues are having people next to them who are also facing these kind of things. So is like, kalau dulu kita, it was quite cases of jauh kan, but now it's like just next to you. So how are we going to handle it? And it has a head of department, and I'm so happy that with the state they have instituted a unit for the civil service officers, and now we have just been given the mandate to run a center for the public, and that is being given to the ministry. I'm so happy for that. And with that, now we are strategizing on the manpower requirements, because it cannot just be anybody that we come and get to man this. And we are now sitting down on the papers, the manpower, the venue, even to the detail of the place. It has got to be inviting kind of thing, you know, the environment and ambience. So we are going there. And thank you for organizing this. We have to have more of such discussions, Prof.
Thank you.
And everybody who's here. Thank you so much.
I would love to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashida. She is really the right person to be here. I mean, in terms of our state, because she's representing the minister, I mean, from the office, not representing the minister, but being really the right person. Jabatan Kebajikan is directly under your office. So
I would love to work together with you.
Please,
if there's any opportunity.
Sarawak will be one of the earliest to do that. Knowing Sarawak.
Telapak tangan, saya tadah nyiru.
Wow, okay. I am so happy because we need that also. Suakan Sarawak will definitely would want to work on that, because it's also about rights. Because like, for example, if they have issues, can they just come to and then say, I can't come to office today, I'm not feeling good. Is it good enough? These are issues like Dr. Rashida was saying, somebody just sitting next to you, and for women is, meroyan is one thing. But what about men?
Oh, yes.
Men have huge mental health issues, massively, especially with regards to addiction, because their coping skills are completely different to women often.
Agreed.
Okay.
And with the ego of men, don't want to some men. I mean, with due respect to men, that's men, really, to them, admitting something is not right with them is like, I'm so not difficult. Man enough. But in actual fact, sometimes they really need help. Yeah, I know.
I believe that men are actually the strongest and the most challenged, if you ask me, because they have to carry this burden of, it's even worse than women. At least for women, we are allowed to speak, but men are not even allowed that right to speak about their feelings and their emotions, because it's seen as a weakness. So I mean, I ask the men of the nation, what about your rights to speak up for what you're going through mental and emotional health wise, because they're suffering. And that's why we see the domino effects of abuse and domestic abuse, etc. These are not men who want to hurt people. These are men who don't have any sense of self and compassion for themselves anymore. They've lost who they are. So we need to help the men in our society so that they can take care of the women and children.
Exactly. It's true. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting the issue about rights, and then an issue about men taking control. Oh my goodness, so many things that Sohakam have to think about, other than thinking about our issue about NCR land and things like that. Oh, that has been so. I'm so for. I'm really like, every time when Cik Puan Sarima, she even invited me for the, what do you call that the one online that you invited?
Oh, Clubhouse. Yeah.
This thing called Clubhouse. I am a real dinosaur. And so, what is a Clubhouse? She helped me to go through step by step. And that's oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
I have a room tomorrow on Clubhouse, actually. If anyone would like to, we're going to be talking about fears at 1 to 2 o'clock. Yeah, please do.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much, Puan. So now I think I need to proceed with the second stage. So thank you so much. I'm sure if Dr. Rashida needs any input or any kind of advice, I'm sure she will be happy to assist you. So I think there's a lot of thank you to from everyone here. Cik Puan, although they can't say, although there are only 98 participants, but there's so many out there on Facebook.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. All right, so I am so sorry. I think now we have to move to the second part of our our discussion. Dr. Ruslawati, Dr. pula, mata I dah terperu dah. Miss Laura Ko, and then Kian. Okay, Dr. Rashida, I hope you can stay on and just listen to some of the things that Thank you, Cik Puan. She says, stay safe, everyone. Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. Rosila, if you can just share with us, do you have a presentation or you just want to do a little bit of a sharing of the CAF and things like that? Or you have a presentation?
Yes, I do have the presentation. So,
okay, but it would be good if you can share it more in a santai manner because, I think people have kind of really an overdose of Madeline. So, so it would be very helpful if you can just, as you present, kind of be listening on in the thanks of discuss. Jangan just itulah. Okay, thanks, Dr. Rosila. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Madeline Burma, Pesuruhjaya Suhakan Sarawak, Encik Sofian Osman, Ketua Cawangan Suhakan Sarawak, Datuk-datuk, datin-datin, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan dan juga penceramah jemputan sekalian. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat salam sejahtera dan selamat pagi. So izinkan saya untuk share dulu PowerPoint and then I will go through and then maybe sharing a bit about what's happening during COVID pandemic. Okay.
Oh, nice title. Saya pergi emosi dan minda.
Since the title is Kesihatan Mental dan Penjagaan, so I was thinking that I put this saya ni emosi dan minda. So basically this is my hospital Sentosa Kuching. It looks nice from the outside. So I hope all of you can pay a visit later when the COVID-19 permits and lifted. So my presentation will be in Malay and then I just deliver in mixed language. So basically just santai-santai macam Dr. Madeline bagi tahu.
Yeah.
So that's don't be stressed. So just for the introduction, let's say kalau my presentation mungkin terkesan kepada datuk-datuk ataupun datin-datin dan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, so mungkin boleh berundur seketika, bertenang dan bila dah rasa okey boleh join semula presentation kita ya. Okey, so kandungan daripada perkongsian cuma sedikit. Jadi salam perkenalan dululah ya, kita kena kenal kesihatan minda dan kemudian seterusnya saya akan berkongsi sedikit apa yang berlaku semasa pandemik COVID-19 ini kepada kita semua dan akhir sekali cuma sedikit praktikal yang boleh kita lakukan setiap hari di mana saja anda berada untuk menjaga emosi dan minda kita. Okay, so pertama adalah salam perkenalan. So seperti biasa sebelum kita bercakap sesuatu mungkin kena ada definasi dululah ya. So definasi kesihatan kalau ikut daripada WHO ya, Organisasi Kesihatan Sedunia. Selalunya kita akan cakap saya sihat ya. Tapi sihat tu macam mana sebenarnya? So kalau ikut definisi daripada Organisasi Kesihatan Sedunia, dia bukan sahaja kalau kita tidak ada penyakit ataupun kita tidak upaya dari segi fizikal ataupun mental kita dah kata kita sihat. Sebenarnya dia kena sempurna dari segi fizikal, mental kita dan juga sosial. So dia kena ada tiga-tiga komponen ni barulah kita sempurna, maksudnya kita sihat. Okay, yang kedua definisi adalah kesihatan mental. So untuk memudahkan saya simplify dia supaya at least kalau tak dapat ingat lain pun ingat yang ni pun dah cukup untuk kesihatan mental. So dia ada tiga komponen. Kita semua ada distinct. Yang pertama adalah emosi ataupun perasaan. So kalau kita dengar daripada yang mulia Cik Puan cakap tadi, banyak sangat perasaan dan emosi yang berlaku kepada kita, sama ada kita masking ataupun kita topengkan dia daripada perasaan kita yang sebenar. Contohnya sekarang kalau kita senyum sebab kita nak supaya orang nampak kita gembira, tetapi di dalam hati hanya kita sahaja yang tahu. Jadi emosi dan perasaan itulah yang selalunya yang memberi kesan kepada individu, sebab yang itu yang dipendam. So itu adalah salah satu komponen untuk kesihatan mental. Yang kedua adalah pemikiran. Pemikiran pun sama, sebab orang lain tak dapat nak tahu apakah pemikiran ataupun apa yang kita sedang fikir sekarang. Contohnya datuk-datuk, datin-datin ataupun tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang mendengar pembentangan kami ataupun perkongsian kami hari ini, macam-macam pemikiran yang ada sekarang ni. Mungkin tengah fikir, oh sekejap lagi apa yang anak tengah buat kat rumah, ataupun fikir, oh sekejap lagi saya kena selesaikan kerja-kerja yang tak dapat diselesaikan kerana mendengar perkongsian. Jadi banyak pemikiran-pemikiran di dalam fikiran kita sekarang ni. Dan komponen yang ketiga adalah tingkah laku ataupun perangai. So yang ini kita boleh nampak sebab dia jelas, kita boleh nampak dari segi tingkah laku dan perangai. So kalau kita dengar daripada yang mulia Cik Puan bagi tahu tadi kan, bila orang yang terdekat dengan kita, apa yang kita perasan adalah tingkah laku ataupun perangai mereka. Di sini kita boleh tengok kan ada perubahan sedikit-sedikit, tapi kadang-kadang disebabkan oleh penafian kita. Sebab kita rasa takkanlah dia akan jadi macam tu, takkanlah dia jadi pelik. So penafian daripada kita tu, walaupun kita dah nampak sedikit-sedikit perubahan dari segi tingkah laku. Itulah disebabkan tadi banyak sangat penafian dan juga kita panggil sebagai stigma lah. So itu yang salah satu lagi awareness ataupun kesedaran yang kita perlu pupuk di dalam masyarakat ataupun komuniti mengenai stigma, especially kepada individu yang mengalami masalah kesihatan mental. So ini adalah 3 komponen dalam kesihatan mental kita ataupun kesihatan minda. Jadi untuk mendapat ini adalah perasaan kita lah. So kita emosi ataupun perasaan boleh jadi macam-macam, sama ada kita marah, kita sedih, kita ketawa, kita senyum, menangis dan malu. Ini semua memang ada dalam diri kita. So itulah sebab ada tagline kata it is okay for not being okay. So maksudnya kita perasaan kita tu kita identify, kita kena pasti, tak apa saya marah sekarang ni. So kita akan ada cara untuk menangani kemarahan tu. Sebab bila kita nafikan kemarahan, dia akan lagi membuak dalam diri. Jadi kita kena identify dan kita akui yang kita sedang marah sekarang ni. Macam tu contohnya ya. Yang kedua adalah pemikiran. Seperti yang saya bagi tahu tadi, kalau tengok daripada kartun-kartun ni pun kita mungkin hanya boleh anggap sahaja, tapi kita tak tahu sebenarnya apa yang difikirkan oleh Alice ataupun oleh SpongeBob dan juga Patrick ya. Okey, seterusnya adalah dari segi tingkah laku. Kalau kita tengok daripada tingkah laku pun kita boleh tengok secara jelas di sini apa yang telah dilakukan mungkin oleh abangnya menolak adiknya ke dalam kolam dan ibu datang untuk menyelamatkan. Jadi ini adalah tingkah laku yang kita boleh tengok dan kita boleh interpretasikan dia mengikut pemahaman individu masing-masing ya. Okey. Seterusnya adalah untuk dapatkan kesihatan mental yang baik dan sihat. Yang pertama sekali ini penting, kita kena merasa selesa dengan diri sendiri, dengan diri kita dulu ya. Kita rasa selesa dengan diri kita, maksudnya tidak kira sama ada kita putih melepak ataupun kita hitam manis ataupun kita tinggi lampai, kita rendah, kita macam comel-comel cabi ke macam tu. So bila kita rasa selesa dengan diri kita, kita akan jadi yakin. Bila kita yakin, kesihatan minda atau kesihatan mental kita memang baik dan sihat. Kita boleh yakin dengan diri kita, harga diri kita pun tinggi. Itu yang penting yang pertama ya. Yang kedua adalah kita kena merasa selesa dengan orang lain. Contohnya macam kita bekerja, kan kita bekerja dalam satu office dengan rakan-rakan yang lain. Kalau kita tak merasa selesa dengan rakan-rakan sekerja, itu menyebabkan jadi kesihatan mental tidak sihat. Jadi kita kena rasa selesa, kita boleh beramah mesra dengan rakan sekerja, kita boleh bercakap, kadang-kadang kita boleh bergurau ataupun bergurau senda dan sebagainya. So ini adalah komponen yang kedua untuk dapatkan kesihatan mental yang baik, ya. Kita kena selesa dengan orang lain. Dan yang ketiga adalah kita boleh memenuhi cabaran hidup seharian. Itu yang penting. So sejak pandemik kan, daripada tahun 2019 lagi kan, lepas tu 2020 dan sekarang 2021. Jadi banyak cabaran-cabaran dari segi penularan pandemik COVID-19 ni mempengaruhi kita. Jadi kalau kita dapat mengatasi cabaran-cabaran dengan cara yang baik, maksudnya kesihatan mental kita adalah sihat dan baik. So di sini saya nak kongsikan macam klien yang datang dekat Hospital Sentosa untuk dapatkan bantuan, kadang-kadang disebabkan oleh anxiety ataupun kerana tekanan disebabkan oleh penularan COVID-19, menyebabkan mereka tidak dapat memenuhi cabaran-cabaran tersebut dan mereka mula merasa tidak selesa dengan diri sendiri dan juga tidak selesa dengan rakan-rakan sekerja ataupun dengan kawan-kawan di universiti dan sebagainya, ya. Okey. So sedikit mengenai Hari Kesihatan Mental Sedunia pada tahun ini yang kita sambut pada hari Ahad yang lepas, 10 Oktober. Tema pada tahun ini adalah kalau in English, World Mental Health in an Unequal World. Kemudian Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia memberi tema, bersetuju dengan tema menuju kesesamaan kesihatan mental, dan WHO mengambil tema kesihatan mental untuk semua. Jadikan ianya kenyataan. Maksudnya hak asasi kita semua sebagai individu, kesihatan mental tu adalah untuk kita semua, ya. Okey, sekarang perkenalan yang kedua adalah stres. Apa definisi stres yang sebenarnya? Kita selalu sebut, saya stres lah hari ni, tak dapat nak buat apa-apa, stres macam tu, ya. Tapi definisi sebenar stres ni adalah bila berlaku sesuatu tekanan terhadap individu tersebut, dia akan ada tindak balas. So tindak balas tu sama ada dari segi fizikal ataupun psikologikal. Kalau dari segi fizikal, mungkin dia akan jadi jantung berdebar-debar, tiba-tiba berpeluh dan jadi sesak nafas, tak dapat tidur malam dan sebagainya. Itu adalah dari segi fizikal. Tetapi dari segi psikologi, macam dia akan tiba-tiba cepat marah, cepat berlenting, terus je menangis, apalagi dia jadi rasa sedih, menangis. Itu adalah dari segi tindak balas psikologikal. Jadi dia ada dua tindak balas di sini, fizikal dan juga psikologikal. So itu yang kita definisikan sebagai stres. Okay. So adakah stres tu bahaya sebenarnya? Okay. Sebenarnya kalau dia dalam kesederhanaan memang kita perlu stres. Contohnya macam kalau pelajar, dia perlu juga sedikit stres tersebut supaya memotivasikan dia untuk belajar dan menghadapi peperiksaan dan dia boleh dapat keputusan yang bagus. Contohnya juga macam kita sebagai penjawat awam bekerja, kita perlukan juga stres dalam hidup kita supaya memotivasikan kita dan kita boleh jadi lebih produktif di tempat kerja. Okay. Kita tengok satu video, itu apa reaksi kita bila kita stres.
I love it.
Okay. So kalau kita tengok daripada video pendek ini yang berlaku bila kita stres. Dia ada 3 F. Okay, F yang pertama adalah freeze ataupun kita jadi kaku. So bila kita stres, kita akan jadi kaku, maksudnya kita tak dapat dah nak fikir apa-apa bila kita dalam keadaan stres. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua, F adalah flight. Fight, maksudnya kita lawan. Macam yang kita tengok yang wanita tadi dia tendang snowman tu. So maksudnya dia fight. Itu bila dia stress. Dan yang ketiga F adalah flight. Maksudnya melarikan diri. Jadi dia flight kan yang terakhir sekali. Jadi bila berlaku stres, kemungkinan respon yang berlaku adalah 3F tersebut. Ya. Okey, seterusnya saya nak kongsi sedikit apa yang berlaku semasa pandemik COVID-19 yang kita bincangkan untuk perkongsian kita kali ini. So apa yang saya paparkan di sini sebenarnya dia banyak kepada kehilangan semasa pandemik COVID-19. So kehilangan ni adalah satu dari segi bila kita dijangkiti oleh COVID-19, so ada masanya boleh melibatkan kematian. Jadi itu maksudnya kehilangan kepada seseorang individu. Jadi bila dia dalam keadaan berkabung, jadi dia boleh menjejaskan kesihatan mental individu tersebut. Yang kedua adalah kehilangan dari segi ekonomi disebabkan oleh banyak sektor-sektor ekonomi ditutup, jadi kehilangan pekerja dan juga sumber pendapatan. So bila kehilangan sumber pendapatan akan menyebabkan banyak sangat stres, especially dalam rumah tangga, dan boleh juga menyebabkan penceraian, keganasan rumah tangga seperti yang Mulia Cik Puan sebutkan tadi. Dan yang paling kita risau adalah penyalahgunaan substan makin meningkat dan juga kemungkinan bunuh diri. Itu yang paling tragedik lah ya, yang berlaku. Okey. Seterusnya adalah kehilangan dari segi fizikal, sebab ada seseorang individu memang rutin harian mereka akan pergi berjoging dekat taman, beriadah di luar di taman. So ini semua adalah kehilangan juga bagi seseorang individu tersebut. Dan yang ketiga adalah kehilangan dari segi hobi. Sebab ada setengah individu yang suka ekspedisi luar di mana macam mendaki bukit dan sebagainya. So menyebabkan jadi telah kehilangan dari segi interaksi bersama kawan-kawan secara bersemuka. Jadi ini adalah kehilangan, contoh-contoh kehilangan yang berlaku semasa pandemik COVID-19. Jadi kehilangan ini akan menyebabkan stres kepada individu tersebut. Okey. So sekarang perkongsian akhir saya adalah mengenai praktikal apa yang kita boleh lakukan untuk penjagaan kesihatan mental kita lah ya. Tip penjagaan. Jadi yang pertama, ini semua kita dah tahu, cuma untuk refresher adalah gaya hidup sihat. Jadi kesihatan memang selalu mempromosikan gaya hidup sihat, iaitu pemakanan yang seimbang, senaman dan riadah. So pemakanan seimbang kalau ikut kempen Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia adalah suku-suku separuh. Maksudnya dalam satu pinggan suku adalah nasi, suku adalah lauk dan separuh adalah sayur-sayuran. Okay, kemudian senaman dan riadah disebabkan oleh MCO ataupun sekarang disebabkan oleh MCO ni lah ya. Jadi kita boleh lakukan senaman di dalam rumah dan di rumah lah. Okay. Dan tidur dan rehat yang cukup ini memang begitu penting untuk kesihatan mental kita. Dan yang kedua terakhir itu adalah elakkan minuman beralkohol dan juga elakkan daripada merokok ya. Untuk gaya hidup sihat. Jadi tip yang kedua adalah dari segi teknik pernafasan. So teknik pernafasan ni kita boleh lakukan di mana saja kita berada, tak kira waktu, sama ada kita di mana di lampu, sementara menunggu lampu isyarat pun kita boleh lakukan, ataupun kita di dalam pejabat bila kita rasa macam dah stres sangat ke, ataupun dah rasa oh okay I need a break, and then kita boleh buat teknik pernafasan ya. Okay, so saya share teknik pernafasan yang ada.
Salam sejahtera Malaysia. Kami Dr. Mervin, pegawai perubatan Jabatan Psikiatrik dari Hospital Sentosa. Pernahkah kita perasan macam ni kita bernafas semasa kita berasa tenang? Macam ni kita bernafas apabila kita bangun di waktu pagi, atau sejurus sebelum tidur. Hari itu, kami akan madah dengan kita tentang teknik pernafasan. Itu ialah teknik relaksasi yang mudah dan boleh diamalkan oleh siapa-siapa sahaja di mana-mana tempat. Apabila kita bernafas secara dalam, ia menghantar mesej kepada otak untuk tenang dan rileks. Apabila kita berasa cemas ataupun gelisah, kadar denyutan jantung kita naik, tekanan darah kita meningkat dan kita bernafas lebih laju. Semua itu akan menurun semasa kita bernafas secara mendalam dan kita akan berasa tenang. Itu pun dapat membantu kita tidur dan membantu minda kita menjadi lebih fokus. Ada beberapa jenis teknik pernafasan yang boleh kita pola. Teknik pertama adalah bernafas dengan perut. Ia mudah difahami dan senang dilakukan. Jom kita praktis. Duduk atau gurin dalam keadaan selesa. Letakkan satu tangan di atas perut dan satu tangan di atas dada. Mula dengan tarik nafas dalam-dalam dan hembus dengan rileks. Tarik nafas melalui hidung dan biarkan perut kita naik. Hembus nafas melalui bibir. Rasa tangan kita turun sekali. Cuba capai pernafasan yang perlahan dan berterusan. Lakukan pernafasan kedak tu 3 hingga 10 kali. Ambil sebanyak masa yang kita perlukan untuk setiap nafas. Kita pun boleh kira sambil kita bernafas. Tarik 2, 3, 4. Hembus 2, 3, 4. Luangkan beberapa minit untuk praktikan teknik tu beberapa kali sehari. Teknik tu boleh menenangkan fizikal dan mental kita semasa kita mengalami stres. Terima kasih dan jumpa lagi.
Okey, itu adalah salah satu praktikal yang kita boleh lakukan di mana saja kita berada. Dan yang kedua saya nak kongsikan adalah progresif otot relaksasi. So ini yang simple yang kita boleh lakukan. So yang pertama adalah cara untuk kita perah lemon. So kita bayangkan bila kita perah lemon tu kita genggam kedua-dua tangan seperti sedang memerah lemon. Genggam kuat-kuat, kemudian lepaskan genggaman secara perlahan dan rileks. So boleh ulang beberapa kali. Ini kita panggil sebagai memerah lemon. Yang kedua adalah aksi Superman. So kita tolakkan kedua tulang belikat seperti anda Superman yang ingin terbang. Kemudian lepaskan perlahan dan rileks. So ini boleh dilakukan seberapa banyak yang kita rasa yang kita rasa boleh dan kita boleh tenang. Yang ketiga adalah kura-kura. So kita angkat kedua-dua bahu sehingga mencecah ke telinga seperti kura-kura yang berselindung di dalam cengkerang. Lepaskan dan rileks. So kita boleh buat juga beberapa kali yang kita mahu. Dan yang akhir sekali adalah ballet. So ini adalah kita tolak jari ke atas, jari kaki ke atas dan rasakan tekanannya, lepaskan dan rileks. So kita boleh praktikkan ini di dalam office ataupun di mana-mana yang sesuai. Ini dipanggil sebagai progresif otot relaksasi. Dia banyak lagi cara-cara yang lain yang boleh dilakukan tapi yang ini yang simple yang boleh kita lakukan. Okey. Seterusnya saya ingin share ini daripada kawan kita juga daripada Mind Brew Kuching. Ini kita panggil sebagai teknik grounding nama dia. So ini adalah self-care grounding. Grounding ni dia melibatkan 5 deria yang kita ada. Iaitu penglihatan, pendengaran, bau, rasa dan juga sentuhan. Jadi ini adalah 8 self-care kits yang kita boleh praktikkan. Yang pertama adalah macam apa-apa saja mesej ataupun perkataan-perkataan yang kita boleh baca. Macam contoh saya ada menerima kad yang diberi oleh seorang individu yang menulis begitu a very kind words in that card. So memang I keep that cards, and then bila I rasa macam in a way terlebih ke stress sikit workout tu, I akan buka balik that message, the card, and then I will read. So itu adalah salah satu teknik grounding di mana dia boleh menenangkan diri kita. Yang kedua adalah scented object. Ini dari segi bau. So apa-apa saja bau yang kita suka, sama ada lemon ke, lavender ke dan sebagainya, kita boleh bawa. Dan yang ketiga ni adalah untuk dari segi kita mancing lah untuk makan dan kita rasa kan. So apa-apa snack yang kita suka. Ini dari segi pelukan, cuddly, apa-apa yang soft toy dan sebagainya. Ini adalah dari segi untuk kita melihat puzzle ke ataupun objek yang kita boleh bermain. Dan yang keenam adalah diary ke, ataupun kalau kita suka melukis, drawing, kita boleh gunakan untuk kita channel kita punya emosi tadi. Macam diary kan, kalau kita ada apa-apa sharing ataupun perasaan yang kita nak tulis, kita tulis dalam diary tersebut. So itu adalah salah satu teknik grounding. Ini dari segi pendengaran, maksudnya apa lagu-lagu yang kita suka, lagu 60-an, 70-an ataupun 2020 sekarang ke kan. So kita boleh dari segi pendengaran lagu-lagu yang kita minat. Dan ini yang ke-8 adalah sesuatu objek yang kita boleh pegang, yang kita boleh tengok, yang kita rasa macam menenangkan perasaan kita, apa-apa saja. Sebab ada setengah kita sebagai perempuan kadang-kadang suka tengok kristal ke, suka tengok pokok-pokok ataupun apa-apa yang kita boleh bawa ke office kita. So ini adalah kita panggil sebagai teknik grounding. Okay. Dan akhir sekali daripada saya untuk sharing adalah macam mana kita nak deal dengan perasaan kita yang susah. Perasaan kita yang susah ni banyak, macam-macam. Mungkin setiap individu tu berbeza. Bila kita rasa perasaan susah kita macam kita rasa sedih, tapi individu lain rasa macam alah sedih sebab mungkin contohnya dia suka sangat satu pen dia tu, tiba-tiba pen tu hilang. Jadi dia pun rasa sedih yang sangat sebab dah ada attachment. So hari tu dia rasa terlalu sedih, tapi bila dia bagi tahu rakan dia, rakan kata alah itu pen je, boleh beli lain. Tapi setiap individu tu dia berbeza perasaan masing-masing. Jadi bila dia rasa sedih, kita notice, kita tahu oh hari ni kita rasa sedih, so kita pun cakap okey, kita akui saya rasa sedih hari ni sebab pen yang saya sayang yang mungkin yang dihadiahkan oleh bapa saya ke telah hilang, macam tu. So bila kita akui kita rasa sedih, so kita sit with that feeling. So kita rasa sedih, so kita pun akui kita rasa sedih, so kita akan duduk bersama dengan perasaan tu seketika. Dan selepas tu bila kita rasa dah tenang, kita buatlah teknik pernafasan ke, kita buat teknik grounding, kita buat maksa relaksasi dan sebagainya tadi bersama dengan feeling tersebut. Lepas tu bila tiba masa untuk kita let go, kita akan let go that feeling of sedih tadi dan kita boleh rasa gembira semula dan kita teruskan apa-apa pekerjaan yang telah kita tertangguh tadi ataupun kita teruskan rutin harian kita. Okay, so this is to deal with the difficult feeling. So akhir sekali daripada saya, secara rumusannya adalah selalunya bila kita tak kenal maka kita tak cinta sesuatu kan. So bila kita dah kenali apa itu kesihatan mental kita, yang kita dah ada 3 komponen tadi, so jagalah kesihatan mental kita sebaik mungkin, dan kalau kita perlukan bantuan, kita boleh dapatkan bantuan ya untuk kita menjaga kesihatan mental kita, sebab selalunya kesihatan mental dia akan ada kaitan dengan kesihatan fizikal juga. Okey, yang kedua dari saya, kesan pandemik memang kita tak boleh nafikan banyak stres terhadap kesihatan mental kita, terutama sekali dari segi kehilangan dari semua sudut dan dari segala segi. Dan yang akhir sekali adalah jom kita praktiskan apa yang telah dikongsikan oleh saya sebentar tadi, supaya kita dapat jaga kesihatan mental kita dan insya-Allah bila kita dah jaga kesihatan mental kita, kita akan jadi lebih produktif dan kita akan take care of ourselves and then kita boleh stay safe. Okay, itu saja. Sekian, terima kasih Datuk Dr. Madeline. Dr. Madeline tak unmute.
Ini antara punca stres ni. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for sharing your views and your very simple exercise tadi yang Dr. Melvin share. And then saya sempat juga buat ni. Saya kan guru kan. Bila student suruh buat, saya buat lah. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, what I will do, can I just get all our participants to either write your questions or post your questions on our chat, or you can just reserve it for a few minutes, then nanti kita biarkan dulu pembentang semua membentang dulu ya. So please ya. Because ada beberapa soalan di sini, because kesian nanti mereka terpaksa menunggu, menjadi satu level stress pula lagi. So now you just reserve your question, and now I would like to invite Miss Laura. I like the title of your organization, yeah, Mind Brew. I only know about coffee, I only know about teh tarik, but here you have Mind Brew. Maybe if you can just introduce yourself briefly. And Mind Brew, because I was supposed to introduce them, but because of banyak sangat cerita berkelang-kabut tadi, so tak sempat juga. So Laura, if you don't mind, so the floor is yours, Laura. Can I give you about 15 minutes like that to share your thoughts? Yeah, although we got the 20 minutes, I want to reserve for the question and answers later lah. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Madeline. I will try my best. I will need to share some slides because they will help the participants understand.
Yeah.
So let me just do that very quickly. I'll try my best to keep everything within 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
You try your best first.
Okay, sure. Give me a moment. Good morning, everyone. Salam sejahtera. Selamat pagi. My name is Laura. I am from the Mental Health Association of Sarawak. Mind Brew is actually an initiative under the Mental Health Association of Sarawak. And as for myself, I am a pharmacist by training. I actually work with Dr. Rosliwati, who is my hospital pengarah. But Mind Brew is something that I do my own time. It's a volunteer community initiative. So give you a bit of background. I need to give this background because otherwise you will not be able to follow what I'm going to talk about next. I was actually invited by Suakam Sarawak to talk about mental health issues in youth, in teenagers, in youth. To give you a bit of history of how Mind Brew started, we started in 2018. At that time, MHA was organizing a lot of events. There were talks, there were seminars, but there were no young people. So that we realized that this could be an issue either because our topics are tak cukup menarik lah untuk golongan belia, or there could also be an issue of stigma because a lot of our events were being held at our office in Jalan Kereta Api, and people might feel a bit malu lah, you come to an event about mental health. What if people think that I got problem So when we saw this happening, we decided to innovate and bring conversations about mental health into the community. Other than expecting people to come to us, we'll go to them. So we partnered with local business partners, cafes, event spaces, places where young people like to hang out, where people like to lepak. And we organized these casual, facilitated conversations about mental health and emotional well-being. Our target group, youth and young working adults. Our vision for Mind Brew, very specific. We want to create safe spaces in the community to talk about mental health. What are safe spaces? This is something that I'll explain a bit more later on. We want to normalize conversations about mental health. Like what Sarima talked about just now, we want people to understand that mental health is as important as physical health. We don't want people to feel ashamed to say that they are not okay. I mean, if you have a broken leg, people will, kesian, teda, they'll visit you, they'll give you, help you and all that. But if you say that I'm having a tough time, I'm depressed, I'm very anxious, almost nobody will layan you. Or they'll layan you in a way that is not acknowledging that you are going through something real. Right? So our final vision is to empower and engage resilient communities. At Mind Brew, we believe that each and every one of us, especially when we're talking about our Asian community, we have the power to help each other. we have the power to help ourselves. But we need the knowledge and we need resources, we need skills to do that. We don't always have to wait for mental health professionals to help us when we are struggling. We can help each other. So keep that in mind. That is one of our visions. Very briefly, this is an evolution of Mind Brew. We started in October 2018. It was a collaboration with the Champions Kuching. We did physical events at Indah Cafe. It's a popular cafe in Carpenter Street. We haven't seen them for a while because of the pandemic. And because of the pandemic, we also shifted online. In April 2021, we've been doing monthly Mind Brew conversations since then. So let's look at some numbers. In total, since 2018, we have impacted 240 people. We have had 13 sessions, 6 of which were online. And our average age of participants is 27 years old. So the youngest has been about 20 to 21. The oldest has been about 40-ish. We're dealing not with teenagers, but we're dealing with youth and young working adults who are in periods of transition in their lives, either moving from uni to work or moving through different life stages like marriage, starting new jobs, etc. These are examples of the topics that we've covered in Mind Brew. If you can see the topics, there's apa khabar, setting boundaries, I'm enough. These are not your usual mental health topics. These are not signs and symptoms of depression, kemurungan or keresahan. But these are topics that deal with knowing yourself, getting to know yourself, getting to know your emotions, getting to develop healthy coping skills. So at Mind Brew, we encourage people to ask questions, to share, to learn healthy coping skills. If you can see on the right side of the screen, these are actual feedback from participants who came and told us that I want to connect with others. I want to have a healthy and positive conversation about mental health. And I want to learn from other people, get to know different perspectives, how people cope with their own struggles, so that I can reflect and I can review my own life as well. What is very important at every single Mind Brew, we emphasize to everyone who comes, Mind Brew is not a support group. It's not a crisis center. It's not a substitute for professional therapy and treatment. But if you do need more help and you come to our sessions, our facilitators are there to guide you to seek help, to seek additional help, whether it be counseling or a referral to a doctor. Now, I've been talking about Mind Brew conversations. We get people to talk about mental health, but how do we do that? Our process is actually very simple. It's not something that we invented. Every Mind Brew, as you saw earlier, has a topic. So we'll kickstart your thought process, get you thinking, get people talking. With a movie, we'll play a game, or we'll listen to a sharing experience. This is the same format for physical and for online Mind Brew. For example, I don't know whether you probably heard of this movie, it's children's cartoon, Inside Out. It's an excellent movie for you to watch together with your children, even for adults, to understand emotions. So we use this movie when we talk about emotional resilience. After we kickstart the program, we'll break into small groups. Each group has a facilitator. Okay, he or she will guide conversations with prompts. So our function as a facilitator is there to guide so that the conversation tak lari gila lah. But we're not there to counsel. We're not there to give you answers. We're not there to give you advice. We believe that through that small group discussion, you actually learn from each other. So our function is there as a guide. I would like to emphasize here that our volunteer facilitators at Mind Brew, a lot of us are not mental health professionals. I think the majority of us, myself, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm a pharmacist. I don't have a background in psychology, but I have lived experience and I've experienced learning in my own journey. So this small group is very important for you to keep in mind. It's a safe space. Again, safe space to listen, learn, and share. And after everything finishes, we do a wrap up and debrief. Now, creating safe spaces and connecting communities. That was the title of my topic. Why are safe spaces so important? I think Puan Sarimat already talked a lot about this just now, the importance of listening to someone who is struggling. You look on the screen, again, these are actual feedback from participants. The one that I've highlighted, I find Mindbrew to be a safe space for people to open up about their daily mental struggle without the need to be anything other than themselves. They don't have to pretend. It's especially important when you're always expected to express yourselves as if you're not struggling, that you're perfectly fine. And I really resonate with what Puan talked about earlier, about how mental health issues affect everyone. No one is immune, regardless of your status, of how good your life looks from the outside. So this is very important. When we are listening to people, a lot of us don't actually listen. We have 2 ears and we have 1 mouth for a reason. Masalahnya, a lot of us actually don't use our ears enough. When people are talking to us, we're already busy responding. Oh, you know how to answer that person, how to give advice. For example, I think Puan also shared earlier, if someone says to you that you're struggling, a lot of us automatically, it's not your fault, it's just automatic. You start saying things like, Allah, don't be so negative, think positive, it will pass, it will go away. Or why don't you go exercise? Why don't you go and read this book? It's good for people with depression. So instead of listening, instead of acknowledging, we are actually just responding. And that is something that is problematic because I remember Puan saying earlier, you're making that person feel small. You're making that person feel like they are not important, that their struggle is like attention seeking, but it's actually not. So safe spaces are so important for our community, for everyone who is going through a tough time. Now, connecting communities. Human beings are social creatures. If we were not social creatures, back when we were still a hunter-gatherer society, we would have died without a community because animals would have eaten us. And even as we progress in a modern society, we can become more and more individualistic. The need for human connection is still there. We still need to feel that connection with another human being. And for persons who are struggling with mental health issues, the problem that actually compounds, how they're feeling, make them feel even worse, is that they feel alone. If you look at what I highlighted there, someone said that now I know it's okay to not be okay. You shouldn't be ashamed of your mental health condition. Knowing that others are also struggling and trying to find ways to cope, it makes me feel less alone. That's a key word, feeling less alone. And that's so important for all of us to feel like people care, that people are connecting with us. So support and connection exist in the community, just like this participant said. And this is what we provide in Mindbrew. Finding a community of people who will listen to you, who will also share their experiences and show that allow you to share your experiences so that you all learn from each other and you realize that you are not alone. Now, as I talked about earlier, we are not mental health professionals. Well, most of us are not. I myself am not. So what I'm going to share in the next few slides are things that we have heard from Mindbrew participants. 13 sessions, 240 people. We have recognized that there are certain patterns in why they say, I don't feel good, I've been struggling, I'm not okay, because of these following slides. And I'm going to be quickly sharing them in 3 areas. The first one is disconnection from other people, essentially loneliness. So people who say, I have friends, but I'm so lonely. My family doesn't understand me. I keep everything inside because there's no point. You talk to someone, they will say, oh, why you're so negative? Why you always, bad vibes, bring bad vibes into our conversation. Loneliness is not the same as being alone. Loneliness can happen even when you are in a house full of family, when you are sitting in the lecture hall with hundreds of other students around you. And well, obviously that's not happening now because everyone's online learning still. But loneliness is about disconnection. It's about not sharing not having meaningful communication with the people around you, feeling detached. So that's a major factor that causes mental distress in our Mind Brew participants. The second area that I want to touch on is disconnection from a hopeful, secure future. Can I get a job after I graduate? Can I afford to buy a house? Let me just give an example of why why our participants have put this up as a major source of mental distress. Last time, back in my time, if you were a doctor, it was a very prestigious job, very secure. The moment you graduate, you are guaranteed a job with the government, unless you choose to leave, right? But now with the problem with contract doctors, contract pharmacists, contract healthcare workers, you are not guaranteed a job. You may have to wait very long after you graduate before you can secure a job. And in that time, you're not earning any income. For some of us, that is a problem. And along with contracts and job insecurity also comes problems in career progression. You know, how do you go for postgraduate training? All of these things are so uncertain, and before they were not so uncertain. So even for buying a house, all those normal milestones, getting married, buying a house, you know, having your own family and life, these things can be very hard now for graduates. Even if you have a degree, you know, you have a good job, houses are so expensive, you may not be able to afford a house. And of course, because of the pandemic, there are additional worries, and everyone, I believe, is in the same boat. When can things go back to normal? When the vaccines came in, we saw hope. But then again, cases started rising and things started getting worse again. And now we're starting to see more hope. But none of us dare to say, you know, next year I can do this. None of us are daring to plan just yet, because we still don't know what's going to happen. And this connection with a hopeful future, if you talk to people with depression, with major depressive disorder, and you ask them, where do you see yourself in 2 years? Or what do you want to do next month? Or 2 months later, do you want to make plans to travel? They cannot. They cannot see a future. They cannot see hope in the future. And that's a major source of mental distress. Lastly, disconnection from meaningful values. I think Chair Puan Sarima covered this quite nicely. A lot of our participants come to us. Bear in mind that these are people in their 20s, all the way up to their early 40s. They come to us and say, I don't know what to do with my life. Every day I wake up, I go to school, I go to work, I come back, I eat, and I repeat. I keep doing this. I'm like a robot. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what is the point. And at the same time, with social media, you're saying that you're seeing your friends having this very successful life. You're seeing people, celebrities looking really good, sharing highlights of their life. And you start feeling that you are a failure. I would like to connect this to our society and how we view success. From young, you are never told, you're never praised for saying you are a kind person. You are a brave person. You are a good-hearted person. Instead, we're constantly pushed. How good are your results? You know, how are your extracurricular activities? What are your achievements? How much money do you make later on when you start going to work? How much are you earning? How good is your job? All of these are external measures of success, and it severely impacts how we feel about ourselves, because we are not looking at ourselves as human beings that have values, that have meaning. Instead, we are measuring how we are by the things that we have, the things that that are external. With that, I'd like to end with this quote. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. It takes some time to process, take a screenshot and have a think about it. And some disclaimers: all photos of Mind Brew participants have been used with consent. You can scan the QR code to visit the MHA website for more information and connect with us on our social media platforms as well. And with that, I'll hand the floor back to our moderator, Dr. Madeline.
Thank you, Laura. I thought you said you can't manage it, but it's really, you manage it really, really well. Thank you so much. I think you brought up very, very interesting issues here. Something that, I always go to Carpenter Street because there's one noodle shop there. And now suddenly when I come back, there's no more noodle shops over there. And now I heard about Mind Brew always meet up there. So next time I know, every time I come back to Kuching, I will know where to go. Okay, thank you for sharing with us the things that you brought. I like the 3 last slides. Not that to say that the earlier one were not important, but I can kind of relate to it. And I say, oops, next time when somebody brought this kind of question to me, I don't just say, "Alah, you just go out lah, go and enjoy the morning air, or just go and smell the fresh the flowers and whatever it is." At least next time I will have to ask a bit more. How do you feel? And because I just lost my earphone, very very, like you say, suddenly I was telling myself, I mean, why am I over this my favorite? Because iPhone, they have this kind of what do you call it? And it was that earphone was given to me by my student. So when I lost it, I felt so I was feeling really really down, and I was feeling like, oh my goodness. I said, why am I feeling down over just a headphone? But now I can understand. Yeah, so I can go now. I understand. Thank you, CP Sarima. Thank you, Laura, so that I don't feel bad. And also, mana doctor tadi? Where is our doctor? Yes, doctor. Plus the exercise. So next time I don't feel so stressed out, because like 2 things I always get stressed out. One, my gadget. Secondly is the messages that you receive sometimes that really like, oh my God, because I work with Suhakam, the kind of messages that we have. Ada orang mati dalam tahanan lah. Ada orang meninggal kena sodomize. The kind of things that we have to deal with. So you have to really detach yourself. So learning the exercise really helped. But let us just reserve your questions later. I can see my friend there, Said Azmi, is working. Thanks me for joining in. So nanti you check your WhatsApp. I did have a homework for you. Okay? Because he has some question also for Dr. Rosila nanti. Yeah? Okay, can I invite Cik to mana Cik Kuan? Mana dia tadi? Where is he now? I can't see him. Our third speaker.
Dia kat situ.
There. Ya ampun. There's a problem with this thing. Really make you stressed out. They start moving all over the place. Okay, Cik Kian, can you share with us, Cik Kuan? You are from Persatuan Orang Cacat. Tadi saya dah tanya, kenapa lah disebut orang cacat ni? Macam Tuhan tu tidak sempurna mencipta sesuatu. Sedangkan kecacatan itu adalah kesempurnaan. But never mind. But never mind. Well, in the next Parliament, maybe we should raise this kind of issues. Dah ada benar nak ditanya, benar-benar nak ditanya. But never mind, Cik Kian, you don't have to answer. Madeline will ask weird question. So Cik Kian, can you share with us what are the issues that your ahli persatuan you experienced during this COVID? I know there are a lot of challenges, and I can see that Dr. Rashida is there because she's very attentive. Kadang mun kena tok cikgu nang stress kami ada kerja. Because she listen every word. That's the thing. Sometimes people only mendengar, tapi mendengar hanya dengan telinga. But I do know that there are people here yang mendengar selain daripada dengan telinganya, dengan hatinya juga. So Dr. Rashida is one of them. Thanks, Dr. Rash. Okay, yes, Cik Kian.
Okay. Sebelum saya bermula dengan perkongsian saya pada pagi ini, first of all saya nak ucapkan tahniah kepada Dr. Rashida, bekas bos saya.
Wah, masih lagi bos tu.
Pada tempoh hari. Dan kita pun walaupun bekas bos, tapi kita masih bekerja secara langsung atau tidak sekarang, sebab kebanyakan program yang beliau lakukan pun melibatkan persatuan-persatuan OKU. Okay. Sebelum saya pergi kepada perkongsian saya pada pagi ini, izinkan saya dulu terima kasihlah kepada pihak Suhakam yang telah mengundang kita untuk berkongsi pengalaman tentang cabaran COVID-19 ini atas terhadap OKU. Okay, saya perkenalkan dulu pertubuhan kami. Pertubuhan Orang Cacat Sarawak telah ditubuhkan pada tahun 1992 oleh beberapa orang OKU lah. Kerana pada waktu itu belum ada pertubuhan OKU, khususnya OKU fizikal di Sarawak yang membantu golongan OKU fizikal. So kita tubuhkan pertubuhan ini pada tahun 1992 dan Cik Francis Johan adalah salah seorang daripada yang terlibat dengan penubuhan awal lah. Okay, untuk setakat ini kita ada lebih kurang dalam 500 orang ahli di seluruh Sarawak, OKU Physical, dan kita juga mempunyai satu cawangan di Miri, Pertubuhan Orang Cacat Sarawak cawangan ini. Okey, berkenaan dengan kita masuk kepada perkongsian kita pada pagi ini, berkenaan dengan cabaran ataupun kesan pandemik COVID-19 terhadap OKU ini. Jadi memang kita agak terkesan oleh pandemik ini. Secara peribadi, apabila pada Mac 2020 apabila diumumkan PKP yang pertama tu, saya secara peribadi agak janggal dengan keadaan itu sebab sepanjang hidup saya tak pernah mengalami darurat. Itu adalah pengalaman pertama kita, saya boleh katakan itu darurat. PKP itu kita terasa terkurung. Sebab sebelum ini, sebelum pandemik ini kita bebas, semua orang bebas. Walaupun pandemik ini sesuatu yang baru. Sebelum ini kita kita sering berkumpul, bertemu sesama sendiri di pusat kita lah. Kita berbincang tentang masalah, kita mengadakan pelbagai aktiviti, berkongsi masalah dengan rakan-rakan yang sama keadaan. So apabila diumumkan PKP, segalanya berubah 360 derajat. Kita menjadi ketakutan juga sebab sering diwawarkan di dalam media golongan OKU adalah golongan rentan dan kalau boleh jangan keluar dari rumah. So kita terasa sangat-sangat terkesan. Walaupun tanpa PKP ataupun pandemik ini, gerakan kita pun memang sudah terhad. Apabila diumumkan PKP, ianya lebih menghadkan lagi gerakan kita. Jadi sangat-sangat mencabar pada ketika itu. Saya secara pribadi bernasib baik kerana saya bekerja dengan kerajaan, maka tidak terjejas dari segi pendapatan. Dan ada rakan-rakan kita yang terpaksa diberhentikan kerja dan ramai juga rakan-rakan kita yang berniaga, khususnya berniaga bahan makanan, kehilangan sumber pendapatan kerana tidak dapat meneruskan perniagaan mereka disebabkan oleh tidak dapat beli bahan mentah, pelanggan pun tak ada. Benda-benda macam tu sangat merisaukan. Dan saya juga ada diberitahu oleh rakan-rakan kita, rakan kita dari OKU Penglihatan juga. Mereka ni seperti yang kita tahu, mereka berniaga, ada yang buat mengurut, mengusahakan rumah urut, ada yang bermain muzik di jalanan, ada juga rakan-rakan kita yang buat tisu. Ini semua tidak dapat dijalankan lagi kerana PKP telah menghalang secara tidak langsung mereka dan mereka secara tidak hilang pendapatan total. Ada yang langsung tidak mendapat pendapatan lagi kerana mereka bergantung sepenuhnya kepada sumber ini saja. Begitu juga dengan apabila sudah mendapat kesan ketidakstabilan sumber kewangan ini memberi kesan kepada kesihatan mental. Ada yang tak dapat nak bayar loan dah, sewa rumah lah, nak beli makan pun susah. Satu lagi, walaupun mungkin sound bunyi agak lucu, ini betul adalah kenyataan. OKU Penglihatan ni sukar untuk sukar untuk menjaga jarak sosial apabila mereka keluar. Setiap kali mereka keluar mesti ditemani, dipimpin oleh seseorang lah. Jadi penjarakan sosial itu memang sukar dipatuhi lah SOP itu, sebab mereka perlukan bantuan. Begitu juga dengan kami yang berkursi roda, ada yang perlu ditolak. Saya sendiri setiap 3 ke 4 bulan akan pergi ke klinik lah untuk mendapatkan rawatan berkala. Apabila saya pergi ke klinik, saya jadi bimbang, risau, sebab tahulah di klinik kerajaan memang orang berkumpul apa semua tu, itu menyebabkan kita rasa takut tau. Kita takut, rasa cemas apa semua tu. Susah untuk dibayangkan lah. Apabila kita dari segi sosial juga berbincang dari pandangan sudut kesihatan, kita tidak dapat menjalankan aktiviti dan rekreasi lagi. Seperti biasanya, seperti yang umum tahulah, kita sering mengadakan ada latihan mereka atlet OKU ni mengadakan latihan apabila PKP latihan tidak dapat dijalankan lagi disebabkan oleh SOP ketat. So sangat sukar lah bagi atlet ini untuk menjalani latihan, dan secara tidak langsung juga prestasi pun menurun. Jadi ianya sangat merisaukan lah. Perkara utama juga yang menjadi cabaran pada masa PKP itu adalah untuk mendapatkan makanan. Ramai rakan-rakan saya mengadu bahawa mereka susah untuk mendapatkan makanan, untuk menyara ahli keluarga. Jadi atas inisiatif kami telah meminta bantuan daripada pihak-pihak swasta ataupun NGO untuk memberi bakul makanan. Syukurlah kami mendapat respon yang agak baik. Jadi kita telah mengagetkan, telah mendapat bantuan bakul makanan daripada pihak-pihak tertentu. Saya juga bimbang kerana ramai ada di kalangan OKU yang kehilangan kerja lah, dan sebab majikan kita pun faham juga lah, majikan terpaksa mengurangkan kaki tangan apa semua tu. Dan ini secara tidak langsung telah memberi kesan pada OKU tersebut lah. Saya ada rakan yang sukar untuk menerima keadaan begini. Dia sering mengatakan seperti yang Cik Puan Sarimah tadi katakan, sering menyatakan hasrat untuk menamatkan nyawa lah. Jadi kami oleh kerana tak dapat berjumpa secara fizikal sekarang, apa yang kami buat adalah kami bincangkan di dalam grup kami sendirilah. Tapi bagi saya itu tidak dapat menolong secara lebih baik, kerana berhubung dalam media-media sosial ini tidak seperti secara fizikal lah. Kalau fizikal tu kita lebih lebih baik daripada di alam maya lah. Jadi syukur sampai sekarang beliau masih lagi ada lah. Jadi kita harap benda-benda macam ni tidak berlaku lah, kerana kita tidak mahu ada rakan kita yang putus asa lah. Ada juga OKU yang duduk bersorangan di rumah. Ini sangat-sangat berbahaya lah. seperti yang diterangkan oleh Dr. Islawati tadi, oleh Cik Lora, ada kemungkinan mengalami kesunyian. Apabila dalam keadaan kesunyian, pelbagai akan bermain di kepala lah. So sangat-sangat berbahaya lah, sebab kita tahu juga benda macam ni boleh memberi kesan kepada mental lah. Jadi kita sering menggunakan, macam saya kata tadi, menggunakan teknologi yang sedia ada lah untuk berhubung sesama sendiri. Ada juga ibu bapa yang terkesan, ibu bapa OKU lah. Kerana sekolah tutup, pusat-pusat jagaan pun tutup juga. Jadi mereka tidak dapat menghantar anak-anak mereka ke pusat-pusat jagaan dan sekolah. Jadi OKU ini terpaksa tinggal di rumah. Dan bagi ibu bapa yang bekerja dari rumah tu, produktiviti mereka terganggu lah kerana masa terpaksa dibahagikan dengan anak OKU ini dan juga dengan kerja mereka lah. Apa nama satu lagi yang saya ingin sentuh di sini juga, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat memang ada memberi bantuan kepada OKU lah. Masalahnya saya menerima beberapa aduan daripada rakan OKU oleh kerana tempoh PKP hari itu agak panjang. Mereka mengalami kesukaran untuk memperbaharui bantuan mereka. Sebab kalau tak silap saya, bantuan jabatan dari Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat perlu diperbaharui tak silap saya tempoh 6 bulan ataupun setahun macam itu. Jadi OKU ini tidak dapat keluar dan mereka harus pergi ke Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat untuk memperbaharui bantuan ini. Sebab Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat perlu mendapat tanda tangan daripada mereka, perlu mengisi borang sekali lagi. Jadi ini menyukarkan mereka lah, menyukarkan OKU tersebut. Ada seorang OKU tu dia mengadu kepada saya, dia dari Seriaman, dan Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat kebetulan dia punya pejabat di tingkat 1 dan kawan kita ni menggunakan kursi roda. Jadi dia tak dapat naik dan saya cadangkan kepada beliau, you call pegawai tersebut, saya kata suruh dia turun, minta dia bawa borang tu, jumpalah di mana-mana kedai kopi ke apa. Itu saja jalan penyelesaian. Sebab borang itu tak boleh dibawa oleh orang lain. Jadi keadaan yang sebegini memang menyukarkan, sangat mencabar kepada OKU fizikal. Jadi saya rasakan satu lagi, apabila vaksin sampai pada hari itu, apabila vaksin sudah di program pemvaksinan hari itu, kami sangat teruja juga lah. Sebab mungkin ini adalah satu jalan keluar lah untuk menghadapi pandemik COVID-19 ini. Jadi saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada jabatan, kepada Dr. Rasidah yang telah memberi bantuan kepada persatuan kami menguruskan program vaksin di Hospital Norma pada hari itu. Jadi sekarang ni kurang-kurangnya apabila sudah sampai ke tahap ini, saya nampak tidaklah seperti sebelum ini lah. Jadi ianya kita sudah dapat menerima lah, dan dapat menerima tidak sehebat dulu lah. Mula-mula itu memang kita agak tertekan sikit. Macam Dr. Rosliawati tadi kata kalau ada OKU yang tinggal di rumah kecil, memang agak sukar lah, sebab kita dalam tak boleh nak keluar, tak boleh nak ke mana-mana, memang mengganggu sikit lah. Jadi saya rasa itu saja perkongsian saya pagi ini. Kalau ada persoalan ini ditanya, saya sudi untuk jawab lah. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Cik Kian. Satu perkongsian yang cukup baik ya. Terima kasih ya. Kami memang sedia maklum lah ya. Kita sedia maklum kalau macam dalam keadaan biasa pun sudah begitu sukar ya untuk mengharungi cabaran-cabaran yang ada, apatah lagi pada zaman COVID macam tadi yang disebut ya. Belum lagi kita cerita pasal MySejahtera. Dalam MySejahtera tidak ada pun catatan mengatakan yang whether you are OKU or not. So jadi bila dia datang ke pusat suntikan vaksin, rupanya they were not prepared for it. I'm referring to the one in Semenanjung. So dalam engagement kami dengan OKU di Semenanjung, dia kata, the situation is not really seperti yang digambarkan lah. So saya kata that's the reason why Suhakam want to organize this kind of discussion dengan ini, bukan untuk mencari kelemahan. Tujuan kita ialah untuk menambah baik, because like everybody else sedia maklum, bukan tujuan kita untuk pinpoint any fingers or whatsoever ya. So I am so glad, and I can see that Dr. Rashidah is here. So she's because tadi she did. Dia nengok Cik Kian, dia agak-agak. Saya risau sebab saya really, why I'm focusing on her, because I really want Jabatan Kebajikan to be here. So it's not just the ketua jabatan, it's the person herself, Cuma YB Fatimah aja tak ada. Kalau dia ada pun, bayangkan kalau dua-dua kat sini. Satu, kita stres apa? I hope dia wani dengar lah cerita kita. But I keep on reminding that is Dr. Rashidah, because I know, of course, when people talk about library, I cannot detach library from her. And now, bila sebut aja kementerian, so I'm glad that she's there. I know we have a really fantastic, two ladies out there. Malu-malu lah kami tak mula kajian untuk kementerian. So we do know how difficult it is. Yeah. Alright. So thank you, Cik Kian. So now I have two persons that I would like to invite to share briefly. Ini adalah orang yang juga terkesan, tetapi saya tidak jemput dalam kita punya catatan di sini, tapi disebabkan mereka join hari ini, maka saya nak menjemput mereka. Seorang ialah namanya, dia membenarkan saya memberi nama dia. Tunggu sekejap ya. Nama dia, if you don't mind, Sofian. Is it okay if we invite her name? We mention her name.
Yes, Doctor,
okay,
she gave permission.
Okay, can you introduce her?
Yeah, Fasinda Ginol. Puan Fasinda Ginol.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, can you introduce? She wants out to introduce her. Sofian, please introduce her.
Puan Fasinda, mungkin kita nak kenalkan diri kita secara ringkas saja, dan boleh, kita bercerita pasal pengalaman kita semasa pandemik lah, keganasan rumah.
Kami mau kita yang perkenalkan Fasinda, and please she has to switch off the video.
Camera,
yes. For the camera. So thank you very much, Fasinda. If you don't mind, introduce briefly and share whatever that you want to share with us today. I do know that you have a very important sharing. Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Fasinda Ginol. Okay. And thank you sebab sudi menjemput saya untuk kongsi kisah dan pengalaman dalam sesi perbincangan inilah. Okay. Briefly, sebenarnya daripada awal sesi perbincangan sampai sekarang, tangan saya sejuk, bergegar-gegar. I think sebab actually during this pandemic of the COVID-19 last year, my marriage wrecked. Rumah tangga saya musnah disebabkan, I don't know, my ex-husband is abusing me emotionally. He started emotionally and physically. And at first I thought it was like, oh, he should be okay. Maybe he lose his job, lose his income, and he becomes like macam tu, tak pandai nak berfikir. So he tried to release his emotion by tunjuk dekat saya. So saya jadi macam dia punya platform untuk dia tunjuk dia punya kemarahan, dia punya disappointment, semualah. So at first I thought it was okay, let him express what he wants. Maybe that will relieve him. But I was wrong. I was clearly wrong. He chose a wrong way to overcome the disappointment in himself. He involved in drug abuse and he becomes more and more brutally, makin ganas, makin hari makin ganas. So okay, like I said, he lose income kan, dia dah tak ada kerja. So saya sendiri bekerja. Saya seorang frontliner. Jadi saya memang tak ada masa dekat rumah yang seperti yang dia ada. Saya cuma ada bila balik kerja, waktu malam, Sabtu Ahad kadang-kadang pun bekerja. So yes, maybe I don't have enough time with him. And then he start to abuse me emotionally. Call me during my working hours, call me, text me, video call, and he would be like, why don't you answer my call? Why don't you reply my text? Is your job more important than me? And then he started to accuse me of having affairs, tak pentingkan dia. And then emotionally abuse is really kill me inside. Seriously. You don't know how many times I have attempt to suicide. Not like suicide terjun dari bangunan ke, terjun dari jambatan ke, no. My suicide is bila I tengah driving and then he calls. And then so kita dah trauma. I know him, dia akan marah. So shaking, tangan shaking, hati debar-debar. And then drive tanpa you punya mind tu flying, tak tahu dekat mana. I almost get hit by another car few times I tell you. Get horn few times masa on the way nak balik kerja. Because dia kalau I balik kerja pukul 5, he will be like, you must be home within 10 minutes. How can that possibly be? He's really like pushing me, pressuring me from inside. Saya macam dah tak tahan. And when he start to question my loyalty, do I have affair? Or is my friends more important? My friends, they're not my friends, they're my colleagues and friends, yes. Of course, I spend time with them during working hours, right? It's like, takkanlah kita tak berkawan waktu bekerja, teamwork, teammates. Plus, I'm a frontliner, so we have to, during this COVID time, memang kita kena kerja to the fullest. And then he started to abuse me. Started to, physically abuse. All I can say is physically abuse. Rasa hormat tu dah hilang. Rasa takut. Dia bukan rasa takut. Dia rasa macam, I'm trauma of him. And then he's getting worse and worse. Plus he's on drug addiction. He started to threaten my colleagues, my superior, my HOD. That he threatened everyone. Even he goes to my workplace. Dia pergi tempat kerja, buat chaotic scene, menceroboh masuk ke dalam office, ke dalam ruangan saya. And really, that's it. Bagi saya, dia bukan mengganggu emosi saya, bukan hanya mengganggu rumah tangga kami, but he also mengganggu saya punya work environment. Everyone is like looking at me as if I yang buat salah. Oh, mesti dia have scandal. That's why the husband is acting like that. And well, we're in Malaysia and kita ada dua group yang always pros and cons. The pros, it will say, you do what you want. Please think about yourself. You should do what's the best, what you think is the best for you. And then the second group will be saying like, tahan je lah. You have been living with him for so many years. Maybe he is upset because of losing his job. losing his job or whatsoever, please just cope with him. And then when I say, what about he's abusing me? Should I cope with it too? And then they would say like, relax lah, banyak pun husband yang pukul isteri. Wow, for me, if you start to lay hands on your wife, then what are you? He abused me, but physically I don't really feel the pain. I feel the pain when he abused me emotionally. You know how emotionally is when everything he forced me to do what he wants. I don't have any freedom. I don't have myself. He owns me. And I go to work, he also, dia akan monitor me, wait for me dekat parking apa semua. And how do a person live like that? Is that a way of a person live? Don't we have any, tak ada hak ke pada diri sendiri? Even I know I'm his wife. So last year he himself decided to keluar dari rumah, and I don't do anything. Ujuk pun tak. I just don't care. You live, so I just lama sangat dah cope with your behavior, and when you leave, I feel like, oh my God, there's a burden being carried from my chest, from my shoulder, you know. And I think like when I decide to file a single petition divorce with him, he didn't agree, and he tried to manipulate things, saying that I have other men, have secret affair apa semua, and harassment tu semakin menjadi-jadi. Dia post dekat social media about me, about my face, apa semua, all the harassment, semualah yang buruk-buruk dia post. So seriously, I am mentally, emotionally abused until I have to refer to a psychiatrist at a private hospital. Yeah, and they said you might have minor anxiety, madam, they said. And I said, I really cannot overcome it at first, sebab bila I tengah driving, when I'm driving, dengar bunyi motorbike yang exhaust bising tu, saya akan rasa macam, oh my God, is that him? Oh my God, my hand is shaking, hati, jantung debar-debar. Then I will just went blank. And fortunately, God still protects me. I drive safely home even after all the incidents. And right now, dia dah tak mengganggu saya lagi because he's in jail, because in accusation of trying to kill me. Attempt to murder. Yes, he attempted to murder me after I filed divorce. So actually, not just woman, no human in this world should experience this kind of things. We all have rights. For me, because I'm working and I'm being loyal to him, and he treats me like a rubbish. All I can say is, and he forced me doing everything, and luckily I managed to escape from him. I luckily managed to save myself, love myself, and I have friends around me, my family, supporting me, because they know even if I'm not with him, I will be happy. I mean, the way he treats me is not the way a woman should be treated. Not only a woman, a human should be treated. So,
are you okay, Fasenda?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just dah lama dah.
Oh, sihat.
Yeah, dah lama dah. I didn't talk about this. I tried to deny. Like my friends say, first you still remember kah? I like, remember what? Are you in denial phase? Yes, I am in denial phase. I don't know. There's a term of that.
Yeah. Dr. Rosilawati is a ngangguk kepala. There must be a denial phase.
A person trying to deny what happens to her. That's why when they invite me, I start to fikir balik. what happened? And then I asked my mom and friends, Mom, what happened to me? What should I say to them? And then my friend said, you tell them dia abuse you. What he did. Yeah, everything. And all my privacy, like headphone, card bank, all the social media password, all he has. So I don't really, and I don't know what trigger him. And then whenever he tried to, bila dia marah-marah apa semua, I usually silent. Diam je. Sebab I don't want to trigger him lah. Biarlah dia nak madah apa-apa semua. But you know, the thing trigger him more and more and more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fazenda, okay.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of people who may want to ask question dengan kita lah. Okay, you just be ready. Sial, kah ada gambar Frozen ya sial. Okay, I have Tuan Syed here with us. Syed, nyanyi gago ya. Nyanyi dengar.
I think kami pun dah ingat apa yang kami sebut tau.
Sial. No worries. Because I have Syed here. Tunggulah, Nyangi Kelakai, the one who calls Syed Azmi there. I'm sure you all quite familiar with his work. Yes, Laura was saying, thank you so much for being brave. For being brave and yet, you know, she recognized. Syed, are you okay? Okay. Hi, Syed. So sorry. Last minute. Is it okay? Can you just share with us? Okay, Tuan Syed is a good friend of mine, really good friend. Sama-sama si bapa betul gila doa tu makanlah kelakar lah. Syed, you can speak bahasa Sarawak nak? He has worked in Sarawak. Boleh sikit-sikit ya?
Okay. Saya boleh faham. Dan sebelum tu terima kasih Matt.
Yes. Can you just introduce yourself, your work?
Okay, So sebenarnya hari ni saya kena babysit. Seperti orang lain juga, kita kena bila buat babysitting ni dia kena multitasking. So nama saya Syed Azmi. Saya seorang people call me a child advocate. And Cik Laura, I'm very proud of you because I'm also a pharmacist by profession. And then I stopped my practice and then I focus on child advocacy. Saya sekarang adalah penasihat Mahkamah Kanak-Kanak Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so saya banyak handle kes kanak-kanak yang melanggar undang-undang lah. Okay, yang saya nak kongsi kat sini, I think Dr. Matt tadi cakap dari segi mental health dan juga kemiskinan. So, of course, kerja saya dengan persatuan saya, Puak Payung nama dia, we see a lot of this and similar sebenarnya dengan apa yang berlaku di Sarawak. I'm very much touched dengan Cik Kian punya presentation just now. I know that dia memang meluahkan habislah apa dia yang tengah diceritakan tadi, and I understand itu adalah kekangan dia. To make it short, untuk dipendekkan, minta maaf Dr. Matt, I cannot cakap Sarawak walaupun duduk Miri 6 tahun.
Sampai hati. Dah makan rasa Sarawak berkali-kali.
Itulah. Jadi tetapi ada satu sini yang saya nak kongsikan kat sini yang saya rasa agak penting. First of all, saya terpaksa akui bahawa pihak JKM, KPWKM khususnya telah cuba sebaik mungkin sebenarnya untuk memenuhi semua keperluan masyarakat dan kebajikan sedia ada. However, ada satu bahagian yang sebenarnya saya rasa adalah amat penting untuk kita masyarakat nak bantu. So number one, saya dengar daripada rakan saya pun sebenarnya awal lagi daripada tadi sampai sekarang, there are small pocket, ada benda-benda kecil yang merupakan kejayaan sewaktu pandemik COVID dan mental health yang kita tak cukup nak kongsi. Contohnya, I am very sure that sebenarnya semua NGO ke atau persatuan macam Cik Kian ke atau juga keadaan keganasan rumah tangga, pemberian bakul makanan, perkongsian jenis bakul makanan yang sesuai dari segi logistik, transportation, cost dan sebagainya, ada yang lebih bijak. Tapi kita tak cukup tempat nak kongsi. You faham tak? Maksud dia macam kami di Semenanjung, kita banyak rumah flat tinggi dan PPR yang kebanyakannya B40. Bagi saya dah B50 lah sekarang. Okay? Dan semua tempat ni apabila berlakunya lockdown disebabkan red zone itu, diorang tak boleh keluar nak ambil. Jadi anggota rela di Semenanjung yang kena hantar dari rumah ke rumah. Nak hantar 30 biji telur, nak hantar 10 kilo beras, dengan kekangan anggota rela yang ada ke sana susah. So we actually tanya macam mana cara logistik yang lebih baik sebab these are anggota rela tau. Jadi diorang pun ada kudrat tenaga sahaja nak hantar makanan. Bunyi macam untung lah Semenanjung dapat makanan. Kami di Sabah Sarawak ni agak susah. I hear that many times. But our role is to macam mana kita boleh membuat penambahbaikan. Di JKM KL, dia actually ada satu suggestion yang kami pakai. Dia kata jangan bagi beras Tuan Syed, kita bagi ketupat nasi. There's instant ketupat nasi nona yang orang buat lontong dan sebagainya tu.
Kecil-kecil lah.
Yang kecil-kecil tu dia a bit mahal. Okay. Tapi kenapa kita buat macam tu? Dia kata dua sebab. Satu, memudahkan logistik dan penghantaran. Sebab PPR kami ni biasanya 2 lift untuk 20 tingkat rumah, you know, and then susah nak angkat berat dan sebagainya. Dan dari situ, dua kebaikannya, mudah nak angkat. Lagi satu, memudahkan keluarga mencatu makanan. Di Kuala Lumpur, saya nak minta maaf, saya tahu yang dengar ni boleh satu dunia nak dengar, but di Kuala Lumpur ni, dari segi pemberian bantuan tu, banyak peluang. Minta maaf, banyak sangat peluang sampai ada tempat yang saya tak nak pergi pun sebab bantuan tu banyak. Okay, dan di mana dia kena fikir kreatif sikit. So bila banyak sangat bantuan, jadi datanglah komplain orang buang nasi yang dah masak sebab dah basi. You know, but bila orang marahlah sebab berlaku pembaziran. Datang isu kita hari ini iaitu mental health. Okay, so mana datang ni? Orang marah kata, oh dia ni mesti tak pandai berjimat cermat, you know, tak pandai pengurusan keuangan. But there is one factor iaitu stress which is mental health. Oleh sebab itu, perbualan tu yang paling penting. So untuk kami, bila kami bualkan, bila kita cakap ketupat nasi ni okey ke tak, dia datang balik cerita yang ketupat nasi itu buat dia orang tahu berapa nak kena makan sampai habis. It sounded very small and lame, tapi urusan pemakanan bukan ibu saja, bukan ibu je duduk dapur masak. Urusan pemakanan adalah ibu, bapa, anak-anak, orang OKU dalam rumah. We know about 39% keluarga B50, 39% mesti ada salah seorang yang OKU. 39% dalam B50. That's a lot tau. Untuk satu ibu catu makanan. Untuk satu ibu menentukan makan biar sampai habis. Apa yang nak dimakan? So telur. So telur sekarang 30 biji, satu papan untuk beratus rumah. Mesti ada yang kosong, ada yang busuk dan sebagainya. It still cost. Untuk orang susah, it still cost. So bermula tak silap saya bulan lepas, kami mencari susu UHT punya saiz tu 1 liter. Tapi bukan susu, ia adalah telur dalam 1 liter. Faham tak? Telur yang dah siap dalam 1 liter pakai tuang aja. Untuk memudahkan penghantaran dan khasiat zat protein yang murah. These are the things. But yang saya nak cerita, Matt, sebenarnya ialah pasal mental health. Sorry, give me this.
Yes. I know.
Saya nak bagi tahu pada anda semua, kita semua, I mean, I'm not a TEM, I'm just a pharmacist. So counselling pharmacist kami hanya berkaitan ubat. Tetapi we found out that masyarakat yang banyak nak membantu menjadi pendengar yang baik. Kalau bawa JPW, Jabatan Pembangunan Wanita, dia dipanggil lay counsellor. Dan untuk lay counsellor ni, untuk menjadi pendengar yang baik, dan saya nak anda semua ni kalau boleh buatlah. Bila datang kat saya dan orang telefon semua permasalahan, first thing yang saya minta ialah tanya, dah makan ke belum, dah mandi ke belum, anak-anak dah makan ke belum, caregiver, you dah mandi ke belum. Soalan mandi tu banyak orang rasa bila tulis nota dia tak tulis yang dia tulis bagaimana hendak membantu masyarakat. Part yang saya kata, ada tulis tak saya tulis kat sini dah mandi ke belum? Tak ada siapa tulis. Bila saya tanya why tak tulis? Itu logik lah, takkan tak pergi mandi. You have to understand on mental health issue, the priority is not the same as your priority. Okay, priority maksud dia bila dia ada masalah tapi kata tak makan. Anda fikir dia ada masalah makanan, bakul makanan dan sebagainya. Tapi natijah sebagai satu manusia, makanan ialah benda asas. Hujan pergi teduh, lapar pergi makan. It's so common. Kan? Cumanya bila dia ada dalam keadaan kekangan itu, the priority is not there. Ini belum tanya macam berdoa, bersemayam, tu semua out tau. Kita tengah cakap pasal basic. Dah mandi ke tak. That's why bila banyak pergi rumah B50, kita dapati dia kata kotor semua, rajin, tak pemalas. But I kata wait, their priority is not about kemas rumah. The priority is not about kebersihan, tapi their mental health status. Maknanya dia tak mampu nak bercakap pun. Nak ajak orang datang, orang asyik kutuk dia rumah kotor. So I minta tolong sangat on mental health ni sebenarnya the well-being is the person yang tengah cakap kat kita on basic needs. Dah makan ke belum? Ada setengah tu bila datang rumah saya gigi tak berus ke apa kan? Tak, bukanlah saya suruh pergi cuci gigi. No. Kata you just cakap lah bila lah sekali mandi ni. Tak, bukan pasal busuk, saya nak tanya. And that question is very, very important. On mental health, you nampak kat luar, orang kalau nampak serabai aja, you just tak layan. But they need help. And bukan semua orang very eloquent dalam berkata-kata. Bukan semua orang boleh capai hasrat apa yang dia nak cakapkan itu. That's why I'm very much pleased dengan JKM because walaupun it's not their bidang duty, okay, on mental health, it's actually KKM. Minta maaf, Dr. Rosliwati tadi, I'm so sorry, but they have to because they are the one facing. Because mereka adalah kumpulan berkebajikan yang turun padang. Untuk KKM, it's very limited. And then dia orang COVID frontliner, selagi I tak nak kacau. But it's very much important untuk tahu bahawa jenis perbualan yang kita buat itu. Dan bila dia orang berbual, second point, complain aja keluar dulu. Pak, complain. You take the complaint, but you also ask, habis macam mana you survive? Habis macam mana you cope? Those are kejayaan. Those are achievements. Those are the ones yang you tulis. Ya, 5 kilometer jauhnya nak jalan kaki pergi kedai runcit yang paling berdekatan. Fine. So macam mana you cope? And they will give you ideas pasal natijah manusia adalah survival. So dia akan cakap, oh saya pergi 3 kali seminggu. You tulis. That point boleh digunakan pakai oleh kumpulan yang lain. Oh, I stress sangat jaga orang tua ni, so I pergi mandi sungai. Oh, okay, mandi sungai. Macam mana? Apa? Kenapa mandi sungai itu? I boleh terjun dalam sungai itu selamat, bukan nak bunuh diri. Terjun dalam sungai itu sebagai tanda melepaskan diri. You tulis because that is knowledge. And we have to share this knowledge berdasarkan apa yang ada. Because bukan semua orang mampu nak buat counselling dan sebagainya. No, not everybody have the access. And lastly, untuk Cik Laura kan, I'm very, very happy that they have this service for Mind Brew. Dan online mempunyai banyak kekangan, but we have to try untuk menggunakan teknologi ini. Sorry Dr. Mac, can I ask the question right now? Sebab ada soalan untuk Dr. Rosliwati. Doktor, saya nak tanya pasal di Semenanjung kita ada banyak program Mentari. Mentari is this very approachable system untuk mental health. They have a nurse, they have a doktor pakar kat dalam Mentari di Semenanjung, especially kat Selayang lah. So I just nak tahu di Sarawak ada ke tidak, dan kalau ada, dia punya aspek kejayaan dia tu apa? We are talking about stigma mental health, orang takut nak pergi hospital, orang takut nak pergi klinik sebab stigma. But Mentari is one of the system yang ada, yang saya KKM buat, especially Jabatan Psikiatri buat untuk memudahkan kurangnya stigma itu. Before I go, I'm sorry lah sebab nak jaga 2 toddler at the same time cakap dan fokus, dan diorang nak air, nak minum, nak ini kat depan air ni kan, I tengah tunjuk tangan macam ni tu. I just want to tell you that we actually Malaysian, sebenarnya Sabah dan Sarawak khususnya, you are so creative. There's so many things yang di Sabah dan Sarawak dilakukan sebab kekangan korang besar. I've seen the kekangan tu. I'm so sorry I have to say the word kekangan compared to Semenanjung. Tapi kekangan tu besar. But I've heard so many interesting dialogue of technique and tips on mental health work or mental health. Bukan terapi tau, dia panggil jalan untuk maintain tu, tapi tak ada siapa nak document ni sebab it doesn't sound scientific. Tak penting scientific tu, tapi kalau ia membantu, please do. Macam saya kan, bila kata suruh pergi mandi, I pernah kena question, buktikan saya pergi mandi ni membantu. And then I tanya, who are you? Oh, I am a researcher. I say, okay, thank you very much. I will give you berapa ramai orang yang saya cakap pergi mandi dulu sebelum WhatsApp saya tu, yang datang balik kata 20% or 50% keraguan tu berkurangan. To me, that is my Malaysian data. Malaysiana data, and it's more important daripada bukti-bukti falsafah at the moment. And those things is hak masyarakat. Thank you, Matt, for giving this platform. I'm continuing to hear this until the end, but please understand that minta maaf, tapi sila untuk menjadi pendengar yang baik ialah tanya soalan yang lebih manusiawi terlebih dahulu. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mi. Thank you so much. That is my good friend Syed Azmi, one of the most beautiful-hearted person, very controversial. Of course, I need to say that he is controversial. sebab idea dia yang pelik-pelik suruh kita terjun tadi. So that is not in my poverty punya study ni. Kalau you tanya those from Harvard, Yale and Oxford, that one sorry lah, it is not included. But never mind, the two of us have always gone across and always find something different. Okay, maybe because I know you need to jaga not only anak muda, orang tua juga, termasuk orang seperti saya. I know you have a lot of things at hand. Maybe can we get, now it's a question and answer session. Can we get Dr. Roslawati to respond to the mentari punya yang soalan yang saya tanya sekejap before I open it to other questions. Just a quick one sebelum dia kena dikejar anak saudara dia tu.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Madeline. Thank you for the question juga, Syed Azmi. I was understood that you've been at MIRI for 5 years, kan? What year is that?
Tahun 2000, dah lama dah doktor, sorry.
Tahun 2000 ya. Oh, okay. So untuk informasi, actually mentari di Sarawak pun ada. Cuma kita taklah sehebat Semenanjung. Jadi yang kita ada sekarang yang paling aktif adalah Hospital MIRI. So MIRI, mentari MIRI memang they are really active, and then banyaklah program yang dia dah buat, dia dah kolaborasi dengan NGO, dengan universiti dan sebagainya. So kalau kita tengok dalam salah satu telegram untuk mental health, so dia banyak post kat sana. Laura pun one of the ahli jugalah dalam telegram tersebut. Dan yang kedua kita ada dekat Bintulu. Mentari dekat Bintulu pun kita ada. Dan yang ketiga di Sibu. Dan yang keempat kita ada di Kuching juga dekat Petrajaya. So actually mentari ni memang macam saya Azmi cakap lah untuk mengurangkan stigma. Jadi orang yang macam nak dapatkan bantuan, actually nak datang ke Hospital Sentosa ni macam Dr. Matt bagi tahu tadi, dia kalau kata je nak pergi Hospital Batu Tujuh, waduh, orang semua akan tahu dah itu adalah stigma yang paling besar. Tetapi bila kita tukar pada tahun 1998 kepada Hospital Sentosa, perkataan tu sahaja pun dah membuatkan jadi stigma tu makin kurang. So sekarang ni pun sebelum pandemik ni kami terima banyak ada visitors datang nak tengok apa yang ada dekat Sentosa dan sebagainya. So it is very encouraging lah. Actually Sentosa pun nak cuba bentuk satu mentari jugalah untuk Kuching Selatan, sebab yang Kuching Utara yang dekat Petrajaya tadi. So itu mentari yang kita ada. So actually untuk kurangkan stigma. Jadi instead of datang ke Hospital Sentosa, dia boleh pergi ke mentari, dapatkan semua rawatan di sana. Jadi mereka in a way macam pergi klinik biasa, klinik kesihatan kan dekat klinik kesihatan Petrajaya tu. Pergi sana mungkin ambil rawatan diabetes ke hypertension, jadi tak nampak sangat in term of kesihatan mental tu. So itu salah satu yang kita tengah promote, dan banyaklah promosi pun kita dah lakukan dekat mentari tersebut. Yep.
Thank you Dr. Roslawati. That is really a very important move ya. Satu tukar nama. Kalau dulu saya masa membesar, kalau silap aja mak, orang akan kata you ni dah Batu Tujuh ke, that kind of thing. Because I grew up di camp askar dekat Batu Tujuh tu. So jadi when I say I am from Batu Tujuh, semua ingat, of course lah saya ni bukannya betul sangat pun. So dia kata patut kot ada ciri-ciri. But now dah tak boleh lah kayak guna tu. Normally dulu, because my father's camp, I grew up, bapak saya seorang field force, so there's a big camp dekat Batu Tujuh tu. So bila you kata dulu dari Batu Tujuh, the first thing they will tell, you mesti dari hospital, they call it hospital orang gila. That's the thing that. Okay, thank you very much.
Dato',
yes.
Dato', there's one question to Dr. Roslawati in the chat box.
Okay.
Dr. Roslawati, bagaimana kita hendak let go feeling tu?
Yes. Sivon yang tanya tadi soalan tu.
Mr. Sivon,
How to let go, penting tu. Azmi suruh terjun dalam sungai.
Okay, thank you very much, Encik Sivon, for that question. So actually that was a good question, because to letting go of the feeling memang really difficult actually. So it takes time. Dia ambil masa lah. So untuk saya share kat sini, saya pernah menghadiri satu forum bersama dengan life experience seorang lagi ahli forum tersebut. So apa yang dia bagi tahu saya, yang dia kongsikan, kita anggap feeling tu macam tetamu yang tidak diundang yang datang ke rumah kita. So kita tak boleh nak halau tetamu tersebut kan. So the feeling tu ataupun tetamu tu datang ke rumah kita. So kita layan tetamu tu macam biasa. So tetamu akan ada di rumah. So masa tetamu ada di rumah kita layan macam biasa. Kita bagi dia makan, kita bagi dia tidur dan sebagainya. Dia tak akan terus hilang dalam satu hari. So it takes time. So ambil masa lama-lama nanti tetamu tu dia dah mesra dengan kita, lepas tu dia rasa macam oh okay lah, it's time to me to untuk pulang ke rumah semula macam tu. So tetamu tadi akan keluar dan selepas tu dia meneruskan kehidupan dia yang biasa. Tetapi untuk to let go of that feelings, it takes time and it takes hard work juga. So yang pertama adalah salah satu yang praktikal yang saya share tadi, itu salah satu yang kita boleh buat. Apa-apa praktikal yang saya share tadi tu, pilih je mana-mana ataupun nak lakukan semua sekali pun boleh. Di samping bila kan tadi ada tetamu di rumah, so kita dah layan dia, kita dah bagi everything apa dia nak. So di samping tu kita jagalah kesihatan mental kita tadi dengan cara kita buat praktikal. Itu satu. So let's say bila kita buat praktikal tadi kita rasa tak membantu juga ataupun sikit je membantu, kita kena cari bantuan lain. Kita perlukan lagi bantuan lain, terutamanya bantuan yang tersedia ada di Sarawak ke ataupun di mana-mana. Especially kalau kita yang macam tak suka bercakap ataupun malu nak bersemuka macam tu. So kita ada bantuan helpline. Kita boleh call kasih, boleh call befrienders, boleh call body counselling. Banyak kita ada helpline dekat Sarawak. So kita boleh call dan di sana kita boleh luahkan perasaan tu. Itu secara calling. Dan macam yang si Azmi cakap tadi, terjun sungai itu adalah salah satu terapi sebenarnya. Sebab kita meluahkan, sebab kita mungkin terlalu burn out, terlalu banyak sangat dalam diri kita. So bila kita terjun tu kita macam luahkan emosi kita tu. Kita menjerit ke apa semua tu kan. Lepas tu masuk dalam sungai kita rasa sejuk, rasa tenang, rasa nyaman. So itu sebenarnya salah satu terapi, tapi memanglah kalau ikut study ke research tu susahlah nak cari kan, tapi it's one of the therapy. So dia banyak lagi cara-cara lain untuk let go of feeling. So dalam pengurusan stres dia ajar banyak cara. So itulah maksudnya it won't ambil satu hari lah untuk let go your feeling. So
Yes.
it takes time. So try banyak-banyak cara. Mind brew pun bagus macam yang Miss Laura share. Boleh pergi main brew. So itu sharing kan, dia macam safe space di mana kita boleh share, confidentiality ada dan sebagainya. So itu adalah cara-cara lah yang kita boleh untuk let that feeling go.
Okay, I think thank you, Doctor. Hey, Sofian, you have a question, please straight away. Is it your question or somebody's question?
Yes, my question, Dato'.
Okay.
Just to Laura, on your Minds Brew, do you receive any fund from the state or federal government to run your organization, or you by donation or from
Is it an NGO or things like that, Laura?
Yes.
Thank you for that question, Encik Sofian. MindBrew is not a standalone organization. It is an initiative under the Mental Health Association of Sarawak.
Okay.
MHAS does receive some funding from the state government. We also collect donations to fund our operations as well. I think everyone in the NGO sector understands how hard it is to keep looking for funding, and keep operations running. Yeah.
Especially at this time, So.
Right to me, Laura.
Yes, Dr. Rashida.
Yes, Dr. Rashida.
Right to me.
Oops.
For the funding part of it, we'll see how we can help.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
See, Laura, I told you. It's just like something, you must have done something right. Sometimes in life, this is what happened, and nothing happened by coincidence. All right. Okay. So another thing, what I'm curious, kita ni banyak berbincang, the narrative, the perbincangan kita is quite urban based. It's people yang mudah di bandar, we can call up Laura lah, there is Mind Brew lah. We heard Syed Azmi, but I know Syed Azmi because I followed him. Not that I followed, he literally almost dragged me, paid for my flight to Kelantan just to follow him to look at how he does his work with not poor, hardcore, really hardcore. The -2%, Syed, the ones that we visited. So I've seen that kind of work, but it's still not rural enough for me because Sarawak. Because I've been to interior, not just rural. Interior means nak sampai 3 hari naik boat, bawa naik atas. Dr. Rashida, I'm sure you know what I mean. Yes. When we say Sarawak, people say rural. Oh, rural, no problem for us rural. But you talk about meeting up, like 7-8 jam berjalan kaki naik atas ada. Now, how this kind of issues about what do you call it? Mental health. How do they come? Do they come forward to the hospital, or how do they deal with it? I'm really not sure. Maybe tidak yang ada di peringkat negeri, di peringkat daerah. If you can share with us, anybody from daerah, do they come to you? Ada sih tu. Siapa-siapa kah? Do they come to you, or they just like knowing the rural communities, they just cope among themselves? Ada sih siapa-siapa saya dah. Chat from YouTube live. What is that, Sofian?
Or the chats that we see.
Oh, they congratulate Syed Azmi. Okay. Anybody can share? Because I'm kind of worried because kita jarang bercerita pasal mental health among rural communities, and also maybe this is something that we are because we're still grappling with it in the urban areas. Apatah lagi rural tu kita siap papan. So maybe Cik Kian, do you have any idea from your ahli ke? Tidak di luar bandar lagi. Imagine naik boat pakai wheelchair.
Setakat tu ahli-ahli kita yang di sekitar Kuching lah.
Ada?
Di luar daripada Kuchingnya, Espice, Seriaman masih lagi dapat dihubungi lah.
Okay, alright.
Ahli daripada yang rural, very rural area.
Alright. Tadi you mentioned about vaccination. Was it easy for your for the OKUs in terms of access to vaccination?
Oh yeah, kita sangat, we really appreciate lah apabila kita pergi ke Norma untuk vaccination dari itu. Sidak Norma menyediakan drive-thru. Drive-thru sama ada dalam bentuk kumpulan kan, macam kalau ada yang dari institusi OKU they will put in one van, then the medical staff will go to the van there and to the jets. Bagi yang dapat drive, like myself, I drive here and they will do it in my car lah. Easy, very easy. Compare to kalau kita have to turun daripada kereta, then you berkumpul dengan orang biasa, which is sangat menyukakan macam yang saya bagi tahu awal, kita terasa kurang selesa kalau dalam kumpulan yang besar. Jadi macam sendiri saya mengalami ada banyak penyakit lah, kencing manis, darah tinggi, sangat membuatkan kita rasa kurang selesa kalau dalam kumpulan yang.
But we hope that it's not only in Norma. We hope that it is put in other areas, because I know that the government is working very hard on it. But like Syed was saying lah, the problem is with the pockets. Sebab yang keluar di social media are the pockets, not the mainstream. When we talk about poverty, they're talking about pockets of poverty. Now, people say these are outliers, but it is the outliers that will help us in terms of have a better understanding, because tidak tahu yang terlepas like you say, Norma is okay, but we do hope that kalau ada masalah yang lain, Cik Kian, please bring it to the attention of Dr. Rashidah. I'm sure they can look into it. Yes, Dr. Rash.
So I just want to add, when we did the vaccination for the people with the special needs, Prof. We worked with Norma, knowing pretty well, because when we did the vaccination ourselves, having to go through and wait for 3 hours is really a no-no. And then some of the vaccination places too, it's not friendly for those people who have to be in wheelchair. So when we arranged that with Norma, for those young katawang, you can see physically they are not able to go through that kind of physical terrain. So you can understand. But there are also special needs people who are already scared of the crowd. So we work with Noma.
that we don't know.
Yeah, we work with Noma. There's a special room for that. So we work through the associations. We ask the parents to tell us what are your needs and all that. So Noma was very kind to us in that sense, and being able to understand the special needs that we need for the special people.
Yeah, Dr. Rashida, thank you very much. I remember during our conversation with the OKUs di Semenanjung lah, I was made to understand they have 8 different categories. Yang kita nampak sial, you know, for example, the physically, you know, they can, yang nampak. Yang kesiannya Mada, as I told you, it was not in their My Sejahtera. So those at the facilities were not prepared for them. Like you say, anxiety. And then there is another one yang nyandang sakit, you know, the whole body is always sakit. Orang lain always thought that dia sakit badan. Benarnya rupanya it is part of the physical, adalah masalahnya. But these are not captured in the My Sejahtera. So when they came, nobody seems to bother about them. They were more concerned about those on wheelchairs and those on siapa yang whatever. That one is okay. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad that Sarawak took into account. So thank you so much. Maybe I would like to invite my friend Francis. Do you have anything to share, Francis? I'm sure you have an eye for, you know, the rights to, you know, for the OKUs. If you can share with us, because I know he's very vocal about the rights of the OKUs. Yes, Francis.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Madrin and the rest. Just a few things to add. Number one, I think for the disabled or the OKU, actually, if you come to think of it, every day is an MCO for us. You know, that's the first fact. Sometimes we forgot. So
I will quote you, Francis.
Yeah. So when become disabled, we are you know, stranded at home. So, you know, but despite that, you find that when it comes to the MCO started in March 2020, the disabled groups as a whole becomes the more vulnerable, and they face a lot of other challenges as explained by Encik Kian just now, you know. So in addition to their normal challenges at home and at workplace, the OKU as a group become faced with other related problems, just like other normal people. That is number one.
Yeah.
Number two, when you talk about the disabled groups, we have to realize that we are dealing with 7 categories in Malaysia. There are 7 categories of disabled or OKU, each with their own. Each with their own challenges and solutions. So when it comes to the MCO related problem, each have their own problems. I think what was not mentioned just now was parents who has special needs children, you know, especially the autistic. They face more problems during the MCO from what I heard, you know. So it is the group, but of course there are assistance given by various agencies together with the welfare department. But you know, but for them as a whole, if you have a parent with a disabled kids or with learning disability, your nightmare will continue, you know, and the challenges you face, because before that they may be going to the PDK or the CBI center, but during MCO they are stranded at home. So this is one of the groups which you know, which is often not to say forgotten, but you know, of the limited resources we have. So we are dealing with seven groups of disabled people, each with their own. So during the pandemic, each have their own, you know. So, but like I said earlier, if you are disabled, you are supposed to be able to get used to this sort of thing, you know, like myself, you know. I mean, each of us have our own personal experience and, you know, challenges, but, you know, you should be able to, you know, having been used to being cooped up at home, you know, you should be able to overcome some of the normal challenges which other non-disabled may not have. So, but personally, I don't face much problem. I managed to do things like you have to look for ways to keep you occupied and all that, you know, apart from reading and other. So, I mean, this is what we do. But coming back to the word orang cacat, just the thing just want to share. Orang Cacat Sarawak, Pertubuhan, as I mentioned just now, was set up in 1992 as a self-help organization in Sarawak, one of the first. I was formerly the honorary secretary for more than 20 years. So until others took over. But actually, when you talk of orang cacat, for most disabled people, it is not a negative sort of a connotation because we are so used to being orang cacat. Physically, we accept the fact that we are disabled and all that. But of course, the other non-disabled people feels that the term orang cacat has a negative connotation and they call it orang kurang upaya lah, less disabled, whatever. But whatever it is, most of us we don't bother much about the term. But of course, in accordance with the government policy and practice, the term now is of course orang kurang upaya. So that is number one. And okay, apart from that, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Ministry of Women and rather Welfare at the state. Headed now by Dr. Rashida. They have done a lot to help the OKU group, especially in Kuching, to organize
that's good to know. That's good to know.
And I was one of the recipients or rather the beneficiary because just like others, I've been waiting for my turn through my Sejahtera for vaccination date. It doesn't come, apart from the others, over 60, so I managed to get assistance through the ministry and I managed to get a date for me at Norma. So I got mine in June vaccination. But on my own also, I do help a few of our disabled people in Kuching to get their vaccination. So I think things like that. So it is I wish to put on record the disabled, especially in Kuching group, the NGO, they appreciate what the ministry has done and also the JKM for the various assistance given during the MCO. Yeah. But I just want to add that during the MCO, there are various groups, NGO, even from Semenanjung, trying to give assistance to disabled in Sarawak. But you see, one of the things they did is they don't realize the implication of the distance and the physical things involved. So what happened is that many of them put out advertisement or message to people, ask them to apply. But you see, I did try to help even a few of my friends apply for assistance, but some of them didn't get. So you see, this is the sort of thing, of course, I expected. So many of them feel let down, because of the expectation. But I think as a disabled, I think we realize that there are many assistance given, but some didn't get it. And of course, like Injekian mentioned, there are many disabled groups who are living alone or having limited resistance where they hard time during MCO, sometimes even to get to clinic. I myself also miss my medical appointment because I'm scared to go, but I managed to get my own medical needs through pharmacy. Because I just pay, So, but that is just my sharing a bit of my personal thing. So, during the MCO, there are not that many assistance given. And many disabled, especially those with no proper income, so I think they have a hard time, but I think we all face that. So that is what I can share. And I think this MCO or rather this COVID is going to continue. So we have to do our part, either individually as a group, to find ways to try to mitigate and to cope with the pandemic. That is my what I can say. And then we hope that the NGO like the PCS Sarawak, Perubahan Rakyat Sarawak, would have their own members through whatever means they can, and they act as a link with the government agencies through welfare in Sarawak to try to assist members who may not have that means to communicate and to get assistance. This is what I can say. And I think we have to get through our own individual initiatives, and I think we need to continue with the work of the NGO, and that is our responsibility as leaders of the NGO, to try to assist those who need help. This is what I can say. On my part, I think I'm ever ready to assist even the welfare department, just to share knowledge, experience, and this is what I've told them. Whatever things like improving the disabled, So I think there's a lot of things we can share, and there's a lot of work to be done. So also in my capacity as a member of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. So I think this is what I can. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
And then all the best to all.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis. That was a very good sharing. Even before MCO, Suhakam Sarawak also we engaged with Satu Rambutan, but too bad he can't make it today. He was very vocal. He's very, very good. And during MCO, he also highlighted about yang what Encik Kian highlighted because many of them rely on urut and they were, some of them were basking and things like that. So really, loss of income. So it is double jeopardy for them. So I think this is where it is our responsibility to help each other. I think we have really passed the time. So before I conclude, can I just give each one of you a one-liner for your last, what is it that you want to share? Can we start with Dr. Sapa? Let me start with the last one tadi. Syed, if we just go towards from the end. Do you have anything to share last minute for your conclusion? Syed, 1 or 2 lines saja. Kalau tak, I tak belanja you laksa nanti.
Okay, to me, actually yang betulnya, we are still in pandemic COVID. There are still a lot of ways to improve, but this is also the best time to learn from one another. So jangan stop untuk learn. Dr. Rashida, bila I dapat terus Sarawak nanti, I nak round dengan you. Okay, itu permintaan. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Sempat round pula tak. But please go to the library, Syed. You must go to the library. Our dating place dengan Dr. Rashida. I love the canteen kat bawah tu. Ya ampun. And of course the view, she really, every time I told her that, every time Sarawak, I cannot lah. Sarawak, the library is really my place lah. Okay, can I invite, siapa tadi Fasianda, if you don't mind, can you just, any last words from you before we conclude? Yes. Sarawak pun siang.
Oh, boleh. Okay. For me, apa nak padah? Because I tend to forget.
Sial. What would you recommend? Mun ada orang dalam keadaan kita, what would you advise that person to do? What would you tell Fasianda Ginol to do? Bila you tahu Fasianda is going through that, what would you tell her?
Please cari orang yang betul-betul reliable, yang boleh bagi nasihat yang betul pasal masalah yang dialami. Because not everyone can advise you benda yang baik. Betul. Even your own circle, your own family member, sometimes they say just endure it. Just endure lah. Lama-lama pun akan tua, akan mati. He will not be strong enough bila dia dah umur 50-60. But forever is a long period for me. Forever. Very, very long period. Are you sure you're going to be happy? Are you sure nyawa you akan sampai ke hujung nyawa with him? I don't think so. If he's trying to, emotionally abuse is killing you inside. He didn't kill you, but you will kill yourself. For me, I almost kill myself. And then, I have daughters, okay? So even my daughters are afraid of their dad. Sibuk lah madah me myself. Memang anak-anak memang takut dengannya. When I ask, do you miss your dad? No, daddy jahat. Daddy is jahat, selalu pukul mami, try to kill mami. So what happiness can I give to my kids if I still live with this kind of man? He even doesn't treat his daughters the way daughters should be treated, the way the children should be treated. So, during my time, memang kami cari orang yang betul-betul dapat membantu, bagi advice. Bukan kita fikir, aku memang mau bercerai, aku si peduli. Ataupun, aku memang mau bertahan, aku boleh. No. People see. Usually the orang yang nangga akan tahu. Dia the judge. Mereka tahu what should you do. Okay. Yes, my friend is one of the counseling. I have a friend yang dari counseling. So, yang memang sentiasa fikir, sentiasa bagi cara untuk release tension apa semua. And Nya pun selalu jadi mangsa kepada my ex-husband, selalu kena harassed by my ex-husband because he thought that this friend of mine yang hasut untuk bercerai. No, bukan. Okay. Semuanya datang daripada kita sendiri. Orang lain cuma akan mampu nasihati yang. So you need to reach out. That's the word yang. Maknanya so and also go to professional for help and things like that. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Fasienda, because I think I need to invite. Yeah. Thank you so much. You're really a strong woman. If you look at the messages out there, you know,
And
how
then,
they're, you know, thank you.
One problem I think dekat I know dalam kita pun kalangan masyarakat tu, mereka takut and malu bila disuruh cek ke psychiatrist. Mereka malu dan takut. Walaupun orang madah, you ada victim, apa hal aku perlu pergi seek treatment. Patutnya orang yang polah ya, yang seek treatment maksudnya gila kacau aku, but no. Nya abuse you, so you have to seek treatment for yourself. Selamatkan diri sendiri.
Very good message, Fasienda. We did lots of Fasiendas in Malaysia, so that to reach out to share their stories. Although, you know, initially when Sofian told me we have one person who wants to share, is she really willing to share? And Sofian said yes, she's willing to share. So we were very careful because takut a lot of times orang say mau share. Okay, now I need to move on to where is there, Laura. Laura, do you want to share with us your last words before we conclude? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do have two important messages that I would like everyone to know. Number one, I really resonate with what Sai Asmi said about helping others in his own way, even though it's not scientifically proven or database. I believe at Mindbrew, we also believe that each of us have inherent community resilience. Helping people with mental health issues is not something that only mental health professionals can do. There's something called gatekeeper training. We have a huge resource of people in our community, people who are Tuai Kampung, people who are in the JKK Kampung, who have in church, who are in church groups, in masjid and all that. All of them, they can be empowered and engaged with and trained to help people with mental health issues, help them in terms of listening, in offering brief interventions, and then referring to a mental health professional if we need to. Because if we wait for psychiatrists to be trained, hospitals to come in, you know, clinics and all that, we have to wait very, very lama. Okay, the second issue that I want to address is community resilience and regarding, okay, I lost my train of thought, but that was the most important message I wanted to send out in terms of community resilience. We have power as well. Okay, thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Laura, because I think in Malaysia, or rather in most cases, mental health has always been seen as a medical issue.
Yes.
We forgot. So the treatment has always been from a medical perspective. Sometimes we forget that society has its own ability. So thank you for highlighting that. I think before we get Dr. Rosilawati, we get siapa lagi? Kian, if you can share with us, Kian, if there is any last words that you want to share. Yeah.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. Najib. Apa yang ingin saya katakan di sini adalah kesihatan mental itu adalah satu realiti dan tidak mengenal golongan apa, termasuklah golongan FOQ. So apa yang saya ingin katakan di sini adalah kesihatan mental itu satu realiti dan pandemik kita akan memasuki era endemik tidak lama lagi, mungkin in a very short time. Jadi I believe kita kena semua dari setiap sudut bersedialah untuk menghadapi apa saja kemungkinan.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Kian. Continue with your good work. We need lots of Kian here in Sarawak, Cik Kian, to give voices to our communities, sebab kadang-kadang kita like to blame other people, bukan, but without realizing that kadang-kadang we also fail in our, as a person, as a human being, and also as part of community. Kita ada tanggungjawab juga, we know how to look at kelemahan orang lain. Kadang-kadang kita lupa diri kita lah. I'm always reminding myself of that. So okay, can I invite now Dr. Rosilawati, our doctors from siapa tahu dari Sentosa, nama dah sedap tak nak?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, thank you Dr. Madeline. Words daripada saya adalah kesihatan mental untuk semua, tak kira siapa, di mana saja anda berada. So self-care, penjagaan kesihatan mental amat-amat penting. Dapatkan bantuan sesegera mungkin dan kita cuba reach out kepada yang minority, especially saya amat-amat bersetuju dengan Dr. Madeline mengenai kita punya minorities macam orang asal, orang Penan yang ada di pendalaman yang tidak dapat kita reach out, so kita akan cuba. So saya rasa itu kita go together with apa yang mulia Cik Puan cakap, the massive awareness to all. So I think it's about time now, we cannot lengahkan lagi. So so we go with that. And then last from me is #hentikan stigma kepada kesihatan mental. Thank you.
All right, you're really up to date. Okay, Laura, you have one last point. Now you gather your thoughts just now. Your second point. Yeah, yes.
Very quickly, mental health is not an individual issue. It's actually a whole society issue. So when we deal with how to overcome, how to address mental health issues, we are looking at a whole society approach. It's not just the job of KKM. It's also the job of Kementerian Pendidikan. How are we bringing up our children to be more resilient? Are we valuing human development as much as we value economic development? We're also looking at protecting vulnerable groups, as a lot of our panelists have shared, protecting women, victims of domestic abuse, children and disabled groups, and even marginalized communities like the hardcore poor, as well as refugees. So I would just like our audience to understand that when we talk about mental health, it's not a personal issue. It's a whole society issue. And that's all from me. Thank you, Dato.
Thank you, Laura. You're doing a wonderful job there by reminding us of all the things that you have mentioned just now. And I think I really don't know what to say. We have a very, very good response today. Actually, we have more than 200 registered. But my mental stress start to come in when we realize we only can allow 100 people. So I was thinking, Sophian, where is this banner? Then I said, we are dealing with mental issues today. Take it easy, calm down. But before that, I did not learn how to do the exercise from Dr. Rosilawati, or else I would have done that just now. But I'm so happy to see that we have, friends who stayed on until now. It's 1:30, although we promised to stop at 1 o'clock. And I think we have just started this conversation, Dr. Rashida, in your position. I do hope that in your capacity, so if there is a campaign that needs to be done, please rope as many people as possible, not just the people from the medical or people from the NGOs. Everybody should be roped into this whole exercise. I think mental issue is something that we need to talk about it openly. In the past, it is not something that people want to talk about. When we wanted to organize a discussion on mental health, so I was thinking, how do I approach it? But luckily, when Cik Puan Sarima agreed, because she has a way of doing things. She's very popular in Semenanjung. When she discussed this, she was more, because this one was more official lah. But kalau di dalam NGO memang seronok dengan dia bercerita kan. So basically I'm very fortunate to have people like her, Laura for sharing, and then Facienda, thank you so much. Kian, thank you so much. And then Syed, and then Dr. Rosilawati, and then all the others. Did I miss anybody here? Siapa lagi? Sophian. So I pass it to you, Sophian, as the head of department. Thank you so much to all the participants who participated in our project today. And I do apologize for the technical glitches that we have today, but that's part and parcel of life, I guess. So I pass it back to you, Sophian. We need to conclude now.
Terima kasih yang bahagia Datuk. So dengan kesimpulan yang telah dibentangkan sebentar tadi, semua sesi intipati yang telah dibentangkan, maka sebagai penutup majlis kita pada pagi ini, saya sekali lagi ingin merakamkan penghargaan dan terima kasih atas kehadiran jemputan semua. Dan
thank you.
Sekali lagi bagi pihak penganjur ingin mohon maaf atas kekhilafan pagi tadi, technical problem that kita tidak dapat dielakkan. Tapi alhamdulillah kita telah berjaya. Kalau dalam Zoom kita ada 100 partisipan dan live YouTube kita mendapati 83 orang melihat secara live di YouTube. Sekian, terima kasih.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Shida, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone.
Terima kasih semua.
Dr. Razilawati, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Syed,
Thank
thank you. Laura, thank you. Keep up the good work, Laura. Cik Kian, salam to all your members. Orang kuat tu. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alright,
Thank you.
so I need to leave now. Okay, thank you.